For the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour with the Series Championship on the line. The young Austin Beers vying for his first Series title, while Justin Bonsignore looking for his fifth and to etch his name further into the history books of the Modified Tour. The teams have worked all season long to prepare for this moment, both on and off pit road, the garages where they prepare these race cars. It'll come down to them and the drivers tonight to determine who will be the 2025 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion.
There's nothing like it. You can hear the roar of the motors. You'll feel the ground shake beneath your feet. It's what modifieds are all about.
Cars, roar to life, we're underway.
So much on the line for this one today.
Trying to do the crossover.
Right to the bottom.
Nice move.
Angle again on the front stretch.
Looks to the inside. Kobe throws the
Here
block.
comes Bonsignore.
He drives away. He will take the checkered flag. They are trying to make this track wide. To the tap to the bumper.
He's
going to win one. This is what it all comes down to.
Here they come at the stripe. It's going to be a drag race.
Down to the line. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Martinsville Speedway for the series finale of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour and the 2025 series season. Tonight, the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 200 at one of the most historic racetracks in NASCAR competition. My name is Joe Koss alongside Andy Austin. And Andy, tonight, it all boils down to this: one race to win the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship.
It's going to be an amazing breakdown. Plus, we already have some pre-race drama to get to. But first, what do you say we take a look at the facts here at Martinsville Speedway? Opened in 1947, just over a half mile, and a surface hybrid of concrete and asphalt, but the banking 12-degree turns. A lot of you just saw a wild finish to the Mazda series just a few minutes ago. It's going to be just as wild for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here this evening in their 200 laps.
Take a look at the race analysis for tonight's event. 200 laps of distance. They'll have 9 tires available through the race, but they can take 2 per caution period. Take a look at some of the recent winners. Cup Series driver at the time, Corey LaJoie. Ryan Preece, current Cup Series driver, and the defending race winner is Justin Bonsignore. Tonight he is in search of his 5th series championship.
And Justin Bonsignore set fast time this afternoon, but he will not be starting from the pole. You can see his car on the inside of the front row.
As they sit back in the infield getting ready to roll out onto the racetrack. They had a preliminary event here with the Mazda MX-5 series on track with a photo finish there. We'll get a look at that as they get ready to go racing. It's been a great season. We've raced through 7 states this year. Tonight, the 16th race. We've had 9 different winners. Will we have a 10th tonight? Well, before we figure that out, let's take a look back at some of the highlights of the 2025 Whelen Modified Tour season. The green flag is out, and the 40th season of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour is underway. Patrick Emmerling's going to hold on and score his 8th career Whelen Modified Tour victory at New Smyrna. Ron Silk has won at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park for the first time in 3 seasons. Craig Lutz has won at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Justin Bonsignore wins on the Whelen Modified Tour.
Checkered flag is out. 6 different winners. Kyle Bonsignore in the 22.
To the line they come. They make contact. Ripkema into the outside wall, but he takes the checkered flag for his first ever Whelen Modified Tour victory.
The winner of the Eddie Partridge 256 checkered flag out, it's Austin Beers.
Up next, it's a trip to Martinsville for the season finale. Who will be the 2025 champion? A tremendous season with highlights, and I think we're going to see a few more highlights here tonight. Martinsville always delivers under the lights here on a Thursday night. And, of course, this is a big weekend here at Martinsville on the national stage where we will set the championship for NASCAR's National Series leading into their series finale. So all eyes here at Martinsville and all eyes on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. 2 Bonsignores will be on the front row. Justin Bonsignore in the 51 chasing his 5th ever Whelen Modified Tour championship. That would certainly put him in elite company. And he's got to be able to bypass Austin Beers, who's the current championship point leader. Ironically enough, Austin Beers has to finish 8th or better tonight And where did he qualify, Andy Austin?
He qualified in 8th position. So no matter what Justin does, when he's already checked off one box this afternoon, and that is set fast time, looking to lead the first lap, the most laps, and no matter what happens, even with the winning bonus points, he still needs to have Austin Beers finish 8th or worse. And talking to both drivers this afternoon, I think Justin, with his experience and the I've been there mentality, tried to use that to his advantage over young Austin Beers, who's trying to become the youngest champion of all time in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour history. But Austin is not being shuffled out or being intimidated at all.
Not at all. Justin Bonsignore came here earlier in the day today. Shots fired in qualifying here in the Hoosier Tire Poll. Let's hear from him.
Justin Bonsignore enters this race second in the championship points. Justin, given that situation, how big is it for you to come out here and start on the pole?
Well, obviously it's huge. You get a point. We're kind of in a must-win, lead to most laps type of scenario tonight, and Austin's going to have an off night or some trouble. So, we'll do our best to keep the pressure on him and keep him honest. But, we got a really good car tonight, good Phoenix Communications Fury race car. So we're looking forward to it. More than anything, we'd like to win another grandfather clock. If we can somehow pull the comeback off, it is what it is. But, he's had a great year, and there's no shame in second if that's what it is. So, but we'll go down fighting.
Thanks, Justin. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
That's Justin Bonsignore.
Thank you, Jesse. His 5th pole of the season. So Justin Bonsignore went out, got the job done in qualifying earlier today to earn a very valuable bonus point. Now let's take a look, Andy, at that championship point picture coming into the race tonight. We've talked a lot about Justin Bonsignore. We've talked a lot about Austin Beers, but there is a possibility, if things go completely wild, that Craig Lutz is still in the championship contender. Here's the championship points as it stands right now. With that bonus point given to Justin Bonsignore, came into the day 14 points behind, now 13 points behind Austin Beers.
And then you have Craig Lutz, who absolutely loves this racetrack. It took him a long time to figure out how to get around the paperclip, but with his best finish ever last year, a 6th place, and he led 53 laps. I certainly don't want to count him out, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. He really needs something to happen early to both Beers and Bonsignore if he's going to take home the title.
And we'll talk about this throughout the race, but throughout the top 10, these top 10 drivers are solidified. Nobody else can break into the top 10, but there are some positions up for grabs where if you're running for 6th or 5th, there's opportunity for you to advance your standing throughout the season. Now, head-to-head tonight, we looked at who's going to win this title, Austin Beers or Justin Bonsignore. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape, head-to-head between Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignore here at Martinsville. The upper hand, it's got to go to Justin Bonsignore. Justin Bonsignore has the strength. He's got the speed. His first victory came here a year ago. He heard it when you talked to Jesse Punch a moment ago, how he's a guy who has already won here. He's already got the grandfather clock. And Andy, it's the only trophy that he has proudly displayed within the confines of his home, that grandfather clock right in the entryway of Justin Bonsignore's home.
He has won 46 races on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour and does not know where most of his trophies are located within his own house. So his championship trophies, some of his big parade trophies, but I'll tell you what, the grandfather clock is front and center when you walk into the Bonsignore household.
Here's how they go head-to-head at Martinsville. The defending win a year ago for Justin Bonsignore. Now, Austin Beers has not been spectacular here. 1 top 5 in 3 starts, a couple of top 10s in 3 starts, but that DNF. Now, Justin Bonsignore has 1 as well, but look at these stats. 4 top 5s and 5 starts. The only one that he didn't, he had mechanical problems. He was fast that night as well. Justin Bonsignore, both in speed on the racetrack and in his stats, has the upper hand here at Martinsville. But remember, for Austin Beers, it's 8th or better, and he's done that twice before. So he has done that plenty of time to be able to get that championship. Can he execute and be able to get that done tonight?
The confidence level on Austin Beers is absolutely through the roof the last couple of weeks, and I think that's because he's gone out and taken the point lead away and then solidified his standing as if you want the championship, you got to go through me. He went into Justin Bonsignore's house, Riverhead, where he has the most wins over anybody who's competed in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competition, and then there was the changing of the guard, if you will. We talked about that during the Eddie Partridge 256 '96 where Beers and Bonsignor came together towards the later part of the race. Beers went on to that win in Justin's household, and I think that really set the tone of, all right, here's what's going to happen. We're going to Thompson. We're going to Martinsville. It's going to be a dogfight right to the end, and advantage Beers right now. So just because Justin's stats and history shows he has the upper hand, Beers coming into his own, it's going to be a tough fight tonight.
You're right, and it's been very different. Last season when he won his 4th championship, Justin Bonsignor won the last 3 races of the year. Kind of a come-from-behind victory, was able to take that lead late in the season, and all of a sudden he came to life. Traditionally, the schedule works out for Justin Bonsignor, where the latter half of the season is better for him statistically. But you said it. Austin Beers goes out there to Riverhead Raceway and knocks Justin Bonsignor out of the way at his home track, dominant race-winning car, and wins at a track he had never won before, and that was Austin Beers. They go to Thompson Speedway, where Austin Beers was able to gain a couple of spots on Justin Bonsignor, where he had an off night, gained a couple of spots at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where he had an off night, and that built that momentum to where we are today, where he's got just enough cushion to be able to get that victory. I went back through the notes. Over the past 25 years or so, you've never had a championship contender jump from 2nd to 1st in the title hunt by the end of the championship chase. Austin Beers, statistically, you look at the history, has the advantage, but they've got to run the race. They don't run them on paper.
And they had to go through the guy who won the pole and won the race last year, and Justin Bonsignor, certainly the top customer. So you can see it on your screen. In order for Austin to clinch the championship, Beers must finish 8th or better. He has completed every single lap this year. He hasn't finished out of the top 10 since Richmond Spring last year.
Yep.
So he's a very consistent driver. He just needs an ordinary night. And then Justin Bonsignor, he needs to do a few things if things are going to fall his way.
Yeah, simple math for Austin Beers. Now, Beers, he needs to have a rough night, right? No bonus points as you roll on down through. Now, there's some tiebreakers that play into this. Beers and Bonsignors would be tied if Justin wins tonight with 2 wins. So you go to the next tiebreaker, and that scenario, Justin Bonsignor would win the tiebreaker 2-1 based on runner-up finishes. So pretty wild how this could play out tonight, and we have seen just about anything you can see in modified racing here this season. Beers, Bonsignor, who's it going to be? Can they bring another trophy back to Mud Lane in Pennsylvania, where Tony Hirschman has already brought 5 back and they happen to be neighbors? Or can Justin Bonsignor bring another one back to his home in Long Island and etch his name further into the history books of the Modified Tour?
Look how focused he is. Just dig it right out of the window.
So moments away from getting the engines to fire here at the Martinsville Raceway Speedway. I'll get it here in a minute. For the championship of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, modified, staged, and ready to go. All the colors of the rainbow, as our colleague Ben Dodge would say, who is watching this settling in with you and Flow Racing back in his home in Connecticut. And I know Ben is with us in spirit, a key part of the modified tradition here again in 2025. This place is ready to go. Good crowd on hand to watch the series finale. The Virginia's for Racing Lovers 200. The nerves of these drivers sitting there in these race cars before they fire off on such an iconic race is critical. They've got a few more moments just to settle in and be ready to go.
We started the season off in February at New Smyrna Speedway on a cold night, which was just an outright just great race right down to it. And to finish the season on a cold night on the other half of the year, I think it's fitting for what's been a great season-long battle between a couple of drivers, Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignor, and everything's coming down to it here tonight over the 200 laps for the Virginia is for Lovers race.
One of the biggest stages that the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will race on all season long. This place just steeped with history and modified racing and NASCAR in general. The oldest track in NASCAR, and this is the oldest modified division in NASCAR competition. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
Fans, what a race we just saw. Now get ready for another one. Please welcome Executive Director of the Martinsville Henry County Heritage Museum and lead for Virginia 250 Car Project, Holly Kozlowski. She is here tonight to say the most famous words in motorsports. Take it away, Holly.
On behalf of Joey Arrington's record-breaking Virginia 250 car, drivers, start your engines.
The ground pounders of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour come to life at Martinsville Speedway as we get ready for the series finale of the 2025 campaign. Will it come down to Justin Bonsignore, Austin Beers, or can Craig Lutz win the championship here tonight in Martinsville?
So where do we come back to the start?
Here at Martinsville Speedway, this is the Virginia's for Racing Lovers 200 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. 9 different winners this season. Who will be next in this 2025 campaign? Before the cars rolls, let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's Virginia is for Racing Lovers 200 as they get ready to roll off the front straightaway and get a couple of pace laps and some heat into these race cars.
Starting on the pole, driving car number 51, it is Justin Bonsignore. For the first time in 107 races, it's an all Bonsignore front row as Kyle Bonsignore has his first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour front row start. Patrick Emmerling, one of the fastest drivers in practice, will start in third, followed by Craig Lutz out of Miller Place, New York, in car number 46.
Starting fifth, the big winner from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, that's Tyler Ripkema driving Old Blue. Carson Lofton in the field tonight. He's a Cars Tour Rookie of the Year in 2025. Luke Baldwin is back, third generation racer in the 7 New York, and Mooresville, North Carolina, and the championship point leader will start 8th. That's Austin Beers from Northampton, Pennsylvania, seeking his first series title.
Great qualifying run for car number 54, Tomcat Tommy Catalano out of Ontario, New York, and on the outside of row number 5, it's Eric Goodale, a former winner out of Riverhead. Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, in car number 4, the Mystic Missile out of South Bend, Indiana, and Matt Hirschman out of Northampton, Pennsylvania. He'll start 12th.
Teddy Hodgson, a part-time runner on the tour and a rookie this season, makes his debut here at Martinsville Speedway alongside sophomore driver Trevor Catalano from Ontario, New York. He'll start 14th. Connor Jones pulling double duty this weekend at Martinsville. He'll be behind the wheel of a Craftsman truck tomorrow evening from Fredericksburg, Virginia, in his home state. And Jake Lutz, who was quick in practice, but will start deep in the field back in 16th.
You mentioned the Craftsman Truck Series. Another driver who's had some opportunities this year starts 17th in the Gary Putnam number 77. That's Mike Christopher Jr. To his outside is Stephen Kopsick in car number 21. He'll start in 18th. Joey Coulter, he starts in 19th with Danny Bone out of Freehold, New Jersey, starting on the outside of row number 10.
21st starter, car 38, Bobby Labonte, a NASCAR Hall of Famer and 2000 Cup Series champion alongside Hampstead, New Hampshire's Andy Seiss in 22nd. Ken Hagee, John Michael Chenette, 23rd and 24th.
There's Jeremy Gessner out of Tampa, Florida in car number 55. With Luke Fleming on the outside. He's from Mount Airy, North Carolina. And your final row, giving it an international flavor, Norman Newman in car number 11. And Mark Marshall in Hudson, New Hampshire, out of Hudson, New Hampshire, completes the starting order.
Well, let's welcome in the third member of our broadcast team tonight. She'll be covering the action on pit lane as she has all season long. Jesse, we followed the modifieds everywhere, but it all comes down to a championship battle between 2 drivers tonight.
That's right, guys. One final run here tonight for this tour. And you talked about Justin Bonsignore, the veteran of this series, and his been there attitude when it comes to the championship. I chatted with him too, and he said, look, I've been here before, and I've lost more of these than I've won. So when it comes to the on-track experience and knowing how to handle this in all capacities, the mentality of knowing how to approach this race and understanding what it's like to win and lose is something that is a huge, huge advantage for Justin tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You look at Austin Beers in that 64 car, Northampton, Pennsylvania. He's a 4-time champion, not in this series, but he's been through the paces of this. He won his first championship at just 13 years old. He's won Tour-type modified championships, but not on this stage. How can he use that to earn his first career Whelen Modified Tour title?
Think back to when you were 22 years old and what was going through your mind. Austin Beers, a few hours away from possibly being the youngest modified champion of all time in Whelen competition.
Field getting ready for the green flag in the series finale here at Martinsville Speedway in the 2025 season as Justin Bonsignor leads the field down to the green flag alongside his cousin Kyle Bonsignor, and the green is out here in Martinsville.
First time into turn number 3. Just feel the thunder. It's Bonsignor on Bonsignor. Justin comes down to get another point by leading the first lap. Again, even with leading the most laps, winning the pole, and leading a lap here and getting the winner bonus points, Justin has to win with Austin Beers finishing in 8th. He leads by about 2 car lengths off of turn number 4.
Austin Beers in middle of the pack here is Tommy Catalano of 54, who won it at Adnock Speedway earlier this season for his first career win, has that 64 shuffled to the outside, and very much like you see in the National Series, the outside lane is a tough sledding here in the modifieds, and Austin Beers is struggling to get that 64 down to the bottom, and he is going backwards here in the early stages.
Look at Matt Hirschman on the inside of car number 23. Carson Lofton, just 17 years of age, but racing like a veteran. He had a great result here last year. Finally finds the inside. Will tuck back in behind the Northampton, Pennsylvania driver, and they will go after it down the front straightaway. Back up in front, it's Bonsignor by 3 car lengths.
Here's Patrick Emmerling sliding into that 3rd spot. You go back a little bit further, Carson Lofton still battling with Austin Beers, who's hung out on the outside lane, but Beers' car continues to come to life there on the outside. He's actually able to clear Carson Lofton off turn 2.
Beers off of turn 4, now pulls it off of the corner, and again, about as cool as you can expect a 22-year-old to be. Justin, who has been there, he has done that. He's come from behind. He's won championships. Talked to Justin about winning his first Tour championship back a number of years ago. He said, basically, I had it all sewn up. I wasn't in Austin's position, but I've actually tried to rattle him a little bit, give him some good ribbing, but you just cannot seem to shake the kid. And Austin, cool, calm, and collected, doing exactly what he's done all year. That's be consistent, and that's what's kept him in the game and kept him ahead of the game.
And their goal was really not to step over the line, and you can do that pretty easily here at Martinsville. You've got that curbing, that black line that you see on the inside through turns 1 and 2, where we watch the left side of the screen. That is a moment. Here is a 99 of Connor Jones that goes around, and then it looks like Bobby Labonte gets caught with that in the right front, that right front dangling off the side of that cookout number 38.
Yeah, the last time we saw a tire leave or almost leave a car, it was Ripkema at New Hampshire in that spectacular New Hampshire Motor Speedway finish. Ripkema won the race. Now Bobby Labonte early on in the action on the short end of a wreck. It's a tough situation where he had absolutely nowhere to go, and it does bring out the first yellow. 8 laps into this one, where it's Justin Bonsignor and Kyle Bonsignor, your top 2.
Yeah, Tether did its good job on that 38. Let's take a look at what happened. The 99 of Connor Jones on the inside lane underneath that yellow car. That's Ryan Newman in the outside. They came together on the front straightaway. Newman into the outside wall himself. Jones spins across the nose, and behind afterwards, it was Bobby Labonte on the brakes that got shuffled up into the outside wall, and that contact was with the wall where that right front tire came loose of the 38.
Couple of different things in that shot. Brian Newman, great job of getting on the brakes as soon as he did after that contact. And then Stephen Kopsick in number 21. He's one of the drivers that had to go to the rear for an unapproved adjustment. It wasn't the 51, it was actually the 21, so I misspoke on that one, but having to dig a little bit harder. A driver who started the season off so great with a couple of top 2 finishes, still knocking on the door of that first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour win. He's got a long way to go tonight if he's going to seal it and make it happen to close out the year. Window net about to come down for Bobby Labonte, the 61-year-old who has a grandfather clock of his own in the NASCAR Cup Series, and the 2000 champion now with the with the steering wheel up on the dash, and there he is.
NASCAR Hall of Famer Bobby Labonte out of this one. Well, we're under the Whelen caution light, and the Whelen caution lights are on. Whelen, the official warning lights of NASCAR, trusted to protect first responders.
Bobby out to survey the damage, and there you get a good shot of the Whelen lights. Just a tough break. Bobby doesn't race every single week, so it's certainly a treat to see him when he does. And I'm sure as someone who used to just live this, 40 weeks a year, it's special to, get out here behind the wheel and the times that you do to put all the effort into this long day of racing. This is a one-day show for the Whelen Modified Tour. Gates opened early, practiced throughout the day, and when it came to be showtime, just 8 laps into this one, has to take the long walk. There's Luke Baldwin on pit road in car number 7. Early pit stop for him, driver who qualified on the outside of the front row last year. Really came to life. Had kind of a coming out party between North Wilkesboro and Martinsville last year, but a quick adjustment on that 7 New York, and he pulls back onto the raceway.
And a splash of fuel, which may become helpful later when we get an opportunity to see more of the field on pit lane. Heartbreak, though, to see Bobby Labonte out of this one. Interesting, you see so many of the NASCAR stars come back and run these races. A prior winner here was Corey LaJoie, who spent a little bit of time in modifieds, had a couple of races on his way up to the NASCAR National Series, and now even Justin Bonsignor, who will be running a double duty this weekend, replacing William Sawalich in the NASCAR Xfinity Series here on Saturday, to be able to run for Joe Gibbs and wrap out his 2025 campaign. But of course, tonight the focus here on winning the championship in the Whelen Modified Tour and really putting him in rare company among those champions, guys like Mike Stefanik, who have 7, Doug Coby with 6, and Tony Hirschman with 5. If Justin Bonsignor were able to get that, he would tie Tony Hirschman with most championships in the 3rd position with Tony Hirschman here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour in that modern era since we started in 1985.
You mentioned that some of the positions could change within the top 10, and those drivers are racing tooth and nail every lap here tonight just to get to that position so they could get that extra Whelen money, because on the 40th anniversary and to celebrate Whelen's 25th anniversary as the title sponsor, they put in a lot of money from the top all the way down in every single one of those point positions, paying a lot of money. So there's a lot on the line, not just for the championship, for the drivers, though, inside the top 10.
There's always something to race for. We saw the 7 New York of Luke Baldwin on pit road. Let's go down to pit road and hear more from Jesse.
Oh yeah, guys, I was just going to mention a little earlier when we saw Luke Baldwin make an appearance that before the race he was hanging out with Austin Beers, and I asked Austin how he's feeling, and Luke said, well, he's feeling really good until I take him out in turn 4. Obviously joking. This field incredibly close, and at the same time Justin Bonsignor walked up and gave him a little hug too. So I just lay all this out to say, despite how much is on the line tonight, the amount of respect between these drivers in the field is immeasurable. They're having a lot of fun out there too.
Yeah, and I think, Jesse, you're so right, because they have been poking fun at each other for a while. There was a text thread, and we talked about this at the World Series at Thompson, between Justin Bonsignor, Craig Lutz, who was in the championship hunt, and Austin Beers. And it doesn't matter what they throw at the 22-year-old kid, Austin Beers. He doesn't get rattled. They did a release of the 2026 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour schedule here earlier today, and they were there doing some videos, Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignor. Austin Beers just shakes it off. He does not get rattled. He's cool as could be. And Justin's like, when I was going for that first championship, I was nervous. I couldn't sleep. It was a different game. I was never as calm as Austin Beers has been today.
Imagine where he's going to be when he's 34 years of age and in the considered prime of his driving career. Ready to restart this one. The Virginia is for Lovers 200 at Martinsville Speedway. All Bonsignor on the front row. Justin gets the jump, and we're back under green.
Yeah, but Kyle's going to get a little bit of help from Craig Lutz into turn 1, doing it the hard way around the outside lane of the racetrack. And Kyle Bonsignor just trying to keep pace, but it slides up off the corner, and Justin Bonsignor has the edge by the time they dive back into turn 3.
I like what Patrick Emmerling's doing. He's thinking to stay on the inside and again kind of freight train or start the freight train on Kyle Bonsignor. Again, Kyle has never had a look at the front row in his 107 starts at the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour level, and had a shot at the lead, but now falling into the clutches of 3rd place or 4th place Craig Lutz. Craig Lutz goes for 3rd this time in turn 4.
He'll go to the bottom. Did you see Tommy Catalano off the end of the front straightaway just slammed the door shut on the 60 of Matt Hirschman? Hirschman had to climb all over the binders. That's just outside the top 5. Tommy Catalano, who had clutch problems in practice, practice earlier today, running in that red 55 just behind this battle, just outside the top 5 and having a good start to his night here.
I wonder if it had something to do with the gender reveal party that went on in the 54 team and they blew out some pink smoke, because we found out earlier, they didn't really do this, but we found out earlier that the Catalanos are expecting.
Looking for their first baby girl. His wife Allie expecting later on this fall, and of course it's on a race weekend date, so they're trying to sort that out and make sure they can still make it to the track on time. But congratulations to the Catalanos and their new one here expected this fall. Things settle out to a single file for the moment, and you see what that cost Kyle Bonsignor. Second on the restart, now has slipped back behind Tyler Ripkema, and he rides in 5th.
Tyler Ripkema running or completing his first full season as a driver of Old Blue. And we talked about the storied history of that race car and all the wins and championships. You know, one thing that really started to happen in the second half of the season for our Old Blue, Ripkema, and the Bowler team is just consistency. They were so up and so down towards the end of last year. They would run in the top 5, and they would be mired back in 16th for a couple of weeks, and then they'd recover. Well, the pendulum kind of slowed a little bit, stayed more towards the middle, and I think highlighted by that go-for-broke win at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He had a very fast race car at Riverhead Speedway, Raceway, and you know, was strong at Thompson too. They're putting together a whole schedule for 2026, so look for Ripkema back behind the wheel of Old Blue next year.
Let's check in on that championship battle. Justin Bonsignor leading the way right now. Assuming he ends the race here, would earn all those bonus points. Where is Austin Beers? He is 9th. That's the one position Austin Beers cannot be in right now if he wants to win the championship. 8th or better. If we're to end right now, Justin Bonsignor would be your 2025 champion, but we are only 24 laps in. Can Austin Beers maintain his cool? This car not as fast as they hoped it would be. You've got Trevor Catalano back there in the 56, another young, aggressive, fierce driver who's coming into his own, putting the pressure on the 64 of Austin Beers.
You know, it's funny, you talk about the camaraderie between these drivers, and generally you think of drivers who have been racing against each other for 15, 20 years, the grizzled veterans of the Modified Tour. There's a whole new breed of drivers, whether it is Craig Lutz, or if it's Trevor Catalano, or Austin Beers, or Luke Baldwin, and whether they move into a national series or stay right here in the regional series of the Whelen Modified Tour. This is their time to bond, and they have their own little special vibe going on right now, and I think that's real unique amongst the series of this level. It's really, really cool to see.
See that train? That's 9th, 10th, 11th. The 58 car is the only other winner in the field. He won this race of Eric Goodale back in 2021 when it was a spring race. Next year, the race here at Martinsville will be held on the March spring weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series. Goodale came in. He was all fired up. Loves this racetrack. He's got the grandfather clock at home as well, proudly displayed in his home on Long Island. He'd love to get another one here tonight.
He talked about his very first time at Martinsville, which he was so excited to be here, to look up at the giant stands and the storied history as a student of the game that Goodale is. And when he went to fire off his race car, it misfired. He ended up spinning around and having an accident, but not with his race car. You can fill in the blanks on that one right then and there.
His first start, it was the first time driving a Tour Modified. He's like, I'm going to be the first one on the racetrack. He ended up spinning himself out and had to come right back down to pit lane because it was just a little bit too much. He reset, went back out, and eventually became a winner of a grandfather clock. You go back one car behind him, the young Teddy Hodgson in the 05. That car is a family operation. They run part-time, but you know what? Down in Long Island, Skip Barber has a training facility that they've just built. They had some sims, and he had the opportunity to go down there and join a watch party of the recent Formula One race. He ended up winning a sim race with the fastest lap time. It earned him an opportunity next season to do a test in a Formula 4 car out at COTA. So they're in the middle of trying to coordinate that. So from one open wheel style of racing to another for Teddy Hodgkin out of Danbury, Connecticut. He said, I wanted to get down to Martinsville and add that to our schedule. We're a small team on a tight budget, but we love being able to run these modifieds, and Martinsville was the place I had to be. So good to see him in the field tonight. He's had a good qualifying run so far today. It's been a nice quiet day in his start here at the Martinsville Speedway. Started 13th, moved up a spot to 12th, and he's just riding, starting to learn the ropes of this famed half-mile facility.
But how cool is that? Think of when something happened in your life and you had absolutely no plan when you woke up that day to go do the thing, and it ended up working out 15 times better than it would have been if you followed a plan, as he's now feeling the pressure from Ryan Newman. He only went to the watch party on a whim. try to sim. Hey, I'm a race car driver. I might be able to do this. And just because he went to the watch party on a whim is now going to have that incredible experience as a test to get a test over at COTA.
Talk about a guy that's been picking up spots. The trailing arm broke on the 21 car during qualifying, and that is Steven Kopsik. He is rolling through the field and making progress. He's up to 14th right now, and he's following in the tire tracks of Ryan Newman. They're both starting to try to make up some ground. Newman, who was involved in that incident, caught the outside wall when Bobby Labonte had problems. But Steven Kopsik's got a really quick race car in that 21 tonight.
Yeah, he and his father, Nick, have put together a really awesome team this year, and they came out of the gate swinging, and I thought that they would be one of the first 5 or 6 drivers to break through to victory lane this year. It hasn't quite worked out, but if he keeps going the way he's going tonight, he just may be the 10th different winner that we've had in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competition, because he has been lights out, as you can attest to, going inside and out, now closing in on Ryan Newman. Separation about 5 car lengths now in turn number 1.
Out front, Justin Bonsignore leads the way, but we're starting to see Patrick Emmerling close that gap in just a bit in the battle for the race lead. It was about a half a second to a second advantage that Justin Bonsignore had for a while, but Emmerling, who this season has been very good on the long run, is whittling away at those lap times. He's been a little bit quicker every time through, and he is starting to make that from what was 5 car lengths to 3 car lengths. He's closing in on Justin Bonsignore.
Justin continues to lead it, but the Dale Henquist-led number 1 team, talking to those guys this afternoon, they came into this race last year as a championship contender. Arguably, they've been faster this year on a consistent basis, but they've been snake bit. They've had a couple of different issues, not of their doing, too. Let's go back to Seekonk back in May. They were challenging for 2nd place coming to the checkered, ended up 13th that day after an accident very, very late, so that knocked them about 10 points or so. And then they've had a couple of other things, too, but they really have their heads held high. This is the same race car that Patrick brought to Thompson, the old Jeff Bodine throwback that they've done earlier in the year. It's a good race car, and it's going to challenge for the lead before too long.
Yeah, just different skin on it. This car has been very good for them over the year. They called it the sophomore slump. 2 wins this season. Had a great start to the season at New Smyrna. It was clear that Patrick Emmerling was going to be a championship contender. The only thing that started to fade them as they went through is they had 3 DNFs in the first 6 races. That put him behind the 8 ball. You take one of those away, and he would be a driver we'd be talking about here tonight as a championship contender. So Emmerling and this team looking good. You can see how those brake rotors on the front starting to heat up a little bit, but pretty deep into this run here, 43 laps when they come across the line. Really not abusing that car, either one of them at the front of the field.
Yeah, and Patrick Emmerling's running, I wouldn't say injured, but he has a bit of a soreness on his right wrist. From basically just turning race cars all year. And think of how many laps he's turned, not only in the Whelen Modified Tour, but the Xfinity Series as well. He's running with I wouldn't call it a cast, but what would you call it, like a brace of some sort?
Yeah, a bit of a brace on his right wrist just to make it a little bit more comfortable for him. And you're up on the wheel here at Martinsville. This will wear you out. It's a short race with 200 laps. It's a cool night here in Virginia, and that certainly makes it a bit easier there for Patrick Emmerling. You see him starting to slip slide that car around, and as Justin Bonsignore looked up in the rearview mirror, knowing, as we heard from him earlier today after his pole win, that he had to go out and win the race. He looked at this as a must-win situation. Lead the most laps, get all those bonus points he can, and Patrick Emmerling trying to take some of those points away.
Justin Bonsignore, you're about to get into some lap traffic, and I'm real surprised that one of the cars he's getting into is the driver who qualified 6th. Carson Lofton, considered one of the I wouldn't say favorites, dark horses tonight. You know, he certainly has had a fast race car. If he was challenging for the win, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, but that's not the case. He's just fighting to stay on the lead lap as now they work around Ken Hagee, and Justin has some problems as Patrick Emmerling wrestles the lead away from car number 51, new leader in turn number 2.
On lap 47, so Patrick Emmerling jumps out to the race lead. The Justin Bonsignore 47 laps led toward that bonus point as he now settles into 2nd. Craig Lutz is there now in 3rd, and Craig Lutz, he led some laps here last year. It has not been a great racetrack for him in that 46 car, but last year all of a sudden they figured it out. They had speed, and he said what we gained on last year we took right back to the racetrack here. And Craig Lutz, every time this season we go to a NASCAR affiliate track, whether it was earlier this season where he won at Richmond Raceway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway where he had a strong car but didn't come home with a win, and the big all-star weekend at North Wilkesboro where he scored the to win there. He has been at the front anytime it's been a companion weekend with the NASCAR Cup Series.
And they have the best pit food of all of them. They even have the pumpkin Reese's.
Yeah, well, it's it's Halloween, right?
That was awesome. I mean, it was a great little touch. That's why we were there. And also to hang out with Craig, too. And, a testament to what you were saying earlier as far as building the notebook. Last year, the 46 team had, we are under yellow here.
It's trouble down in turns 3 and 4. Looks like Ken Hagee is stopped. He's got that car rolling once again as he will bring that car down the front straightaway. Second caution of the Virginia's for Racing Lovers 200 here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, exactly 50 laps in. Patrick Emmerling is a race leader with Justin Bonsignor, Craig Lutz, Kyle Bonsignor, and Tyler Ripkema, the top 5. You've got to go back to the 9th position where Austin Beers is riding, has stabilized there right now. Again, Justin Bonsignor is not the race leader. Championship edge would belong to Austin Beers, but still 150 laps remain here tonight at the Martinsville Speedway.
To Justin's point, when we were mentioning on pit road of the gap that he had to make up and what he would have to do, he said, hey, that's why we run all the races. That's why we run all of the laps. You never know what's going to come down. And he, as something we were talking about earlier, the respect level between a veteran like Bonsignor and it's not like Austin Beers is a rookie. He's been at it for a couple of years now, but relatively young, trying to become the youngest NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion. He said the kid is not rattled, but, here's what I need to do, and I can do it because I got nothing to lose. I'm going for it. And, one thing I think we might see out of Justin, and we've seen it so far here tonight, is something we haven't always seen this year, and that is going for broke. He's been, I would say, off a little bit this year compared to what he's done in the past couple of years. And for an off season to be second in place with 2 wins, that's pretty amazing.
We'll see what he can do. Dominated the first 47 laps. Patrick Emmerling now out in front as we circulate here under the second caution of the evening. A little bit of a longer run here that time through. You go back through the history of this race, you tend to see some short runs early on, but we had the first caution came out on lap 18 and then a good 30 lap run or so to bring us to this most recent caution. Waiting for pit road to open, and just as a reminder, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, you can take either fuel or tires on one pit stop. It'll be 2 tires the max per stop, and so you may see these cars come down pit road multiple times just to be able to get the service that they need. Pit road is open. I expect to see just about everybody come down pit lane and get some of that service that they need. A little bit of splash at least once today for fuel to be able to get to the finish, and then tires to give you that grip and that launch off the corners. One thing that NASCAR did do is they have all these teams starting at the front end of the field about pit stall 10. They don't work around the corner in turns 1 and 2, so the leaders will be pitting on the straight part of pit road as they make their way down pit lane, where Jesse Punch will have all the coverage of the pit stops, including some of the race leaders and the championship contenders, with Patrick Emmerling the first to hit his pit stall.
51 of Justin Bonsignor taking 2 tires now. I talked to Ryan Stone before the race. He said they have a few adjustments they want to make, and will be continue to make as the race goes on. But they're happy with this race car. Just kind of plays the game of the changes. That 64 tires and making its way off pit road. It is a tight exit off pit road, but that 64 gets off just in time.
A tight battle off the pit lane. Jesse was the 46 of Craig Lutz, who was well ahead of everybody off pit lane based on their strategy. Matt Hirschman off second. He will stay on the racetrack this time through. And then here comes Emmerling, Eric Goodale, Justin Bonsignor, Teddy Hodgson, and Austin Beers back on pit lane for more service. You look at the tires. It was rear tires for Justin Bonsignor, right side tires for Austin Beers, others taking fuel, and Craig Lutz, who's parked completely sideways in his pit stall, took fuel the first time. Now they're getting right side tires on that 46 car. Fuel this time for Patrick Emmerling. Tires right now are right rear going on the 58 of Eric Goodale and that team. Championship contenders are in. Fuel on the second stop for both Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignor. They will exit, and Austin Beers will end up beating Justin Bonsignor off of the pit lane.
That's going to be huge because that will set up those drivers to be in consecutive order when we go back to green. 64 and 51. Both of those teams have their core pit guys But you see some of the other drivers in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, with this being a companion weekend with the NASCAR Cup Series, hiring out some different teams. 14 of Jake Lutz hiring a few members of the RFK team.
Yeah, that's what they can take advantage of while those crews are here. Same thing with some of the spotters that are up on the roof as well from the Cup Series. And many of them have modified routes or maybe have modified championships in their own right. This is going to be pretty interesting here when we get back under the green flag. Mike Marshall is going to be the free pass car. He will get back on the lead lap in that 29 car on and off pit lane. Craig Lutz is coming back down pit road for a third time. He was on and off pit road a couple of times to get service on that 46, and he's going to lose a ton of track position in the process. But I think more importantly, you've got a new look in the front of the field. Matt Hirschman, big money Matt in the 60 car, will be the race leader. You've got Ryan Newman, Steven Kopczyk, Danny Bone, Tommy Catalano are going to be the top 5, and Luke Baldwin. Where is Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignor? They find themselves mired deep in the pack, back in the 13th and 14th spot for Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignor. Their pit strategy is going to cost them quite a bit of track position.
This is where things could potentially go off the rails for either or Justin Bonsignor or Austin Beers. Again, to your point, mired mid-pack. That's where all the action is. It's easy. There's more. Sometimes there's more respect racing up front because perceptively there's more on the line. But you talk to a lot of these guys on the Whelen Modified Tour. John Michael Chenette comes to mind. He said, you know, I'm racing my guts out for 16th. I've raced for 5th. I race harder for 16th on a weekly basis. So now you have these guys racing in the middle of the pack. Justin, throwing it all to the wall here tonight, is certainly going to be aggressive on the restart, because even though he's cool, calm, and collective and been there before, you can't take the mental aspect out, and the competitor that he is with 46 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour wins and 4 championships, he's got to mentally be in front of that 64. He's physically got to be in front of the 64 all night. He's got to get there.
So the battle continues on. Justin Bonsignor looks out that windshield, sees the car that he's got to beat, but not just beat, he's got to go out there and win that race and advance at least 8 positions on the racetrack at the very minimum over Austin Beers. We'll continue to follow that championship battle as we go. Field comes back around to click another one off, but the race leader, Matt Hirschman, pretty interesting here for Matt Hirschman. He is another driver. We talked about there's always something to race for. He's got an opportunity to bypass and gain the 3rd position in the championship standings, comes into the 4th spot, has a win this season at the Seekonk Speedway in Massachusetts, where he has been so good, but he's also had a couple of runner-up finishes here at the Martinsville Speedway over the past couple of races. He's a 10-time winner in the Whelen Modified Tour, and Matt Hirschman has won everything you could win in modified racing. He would love to have a grandfather clock, and when you get that 60 car out front early on with the speed that that car normally has, everybody takes notice.
He has some major pit strategy. You mentioned he picked up a win at Seekonk earlier this year. Seekonk appears on the 2026 NASCAR Whelen Modified schedule, which was released earlier today. Not once, but twice. Hirschman has to love this. Going to Seekonk on May 16th and back on July the 1st. A 16-race schedule, which includes the first main date since 2021. As a Manor, I love that. So they're going to the Oxford Plains Speedway on May. Make sure you bundle up. It's going to be windy. They put the planes in plane. And going back to White Mountain Motorsport Park, who's going to love that? Kyle Bonsignor picked up the win last year, or this year.
I love New Smyrna. You start things off in a companion of NASCAR Speed Weeks leading up to the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. It's a great week there. Martinsville here in the spring, and Thompson Speedway, which is a track that I spent a lot of time at in my career. You look at Stafford Motor Speedway, though, Friday, August 28th. Everybody's been asking about getting Stafford back on the schedule. They return to the half mile in 2026, and we are about ready to return to the green flag. It's Austin Beers deep in traffic. We'll restart on the outside lane just ahead of Justin Bonsignor, but on the front row, Matt Hirschman and Ryan Newman as they are toe-to-toe as they come off turn number 4 with the green flag going in the air here at Martinsville.
Sailing it into turn number 1, Matt Hirschman gets the big jump. Generally, the inside line is the way to go. Ryan Newman, I was thinking if Ryan Newman's up front, he's going to be incredibly tough to pass. Why? Because he's Ryan Newman, but he's trapped up on the high side. Here comes the 54 of Tommy Catalano on the inside. Tomcat will pounce and move to spot number 3, right behind Steven Kopczyk, who had to start towards the back of the pack after an unimproved adjustment. The driver with 2 second-place finishes this year runs in that position off of turn number 4.
He got into Ryan Newman a bit in turns 1 and 2. Newman nearly got to his back bumper over there in turn 3. Where's our championship point leader? He's working the outside lane, the 64 of Austin Beers. Restarted in 13th. He's already up to 8th.
Beers works the outside right in front of Jacob Lutz in number 14. Lutz, who finished 3rd last year, was one of the fastest race cars on the track. They had a pit miscue last year, and talking to him this afternoon, he said that's basically the reason why we didn't end up with a grandfather clock last night. That team races part-time and fast every single time he's been out there. A collegiate athlete back in the day, and now running side by side with 19-year-old Luke Baldwin. He swings to the outside, and everybody tries to stack up right behind the 25. Meanwhile, back up towards the front, here comes Tommy Catalano.
Looking for second underneath Steven Kopsik. And behind them, a great battle where Kyle Bonsignore rooted Ryan Newman up out of the way. To move into 4th, his car charging forward as well. Beers in the right-hand side of your screen, able to break free of that hornet's nest. He's got a little bit of breathing room now in the 64.
Why is it every time we talk to Tommy Catalano about not necessarily liking a racetrack, he flips the switch and then goes out and does extremely well? This happened earlier at Monadnock this year. He said, you know, I wasn't a big fan of the racetrack, went out and won the race in dramatic fashion, and now he's all over the back bumper of Matt Hirschman, sets him up down the back straightaway.
Good exit speed for the 54 of Tommy Catalano. Dives to the inside of Matt Hirschman. It'll take over the race lead, the 4th lead chain of the race, and Tommy Catalano goes to the front. At the same time, the 22 of Kyle Bonsignore slides into 3rd.
Yeah, there might be something amiss with the number 60 of Matt Hirschman. It's just a little bit, too, because Catalano, in just the last 40 seconds, has opened up a 5-car length advantage, and it's growing off of turn number 4. Here comes Kyle Bonsignore to the inside. Kyle, who started 107 races in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competition, has a few wins, but never a start on the front row. I think he's more concerned with finishing on the front row, and especially P1, getting that grandfather clock. The man who loves Halloween, we'll talk more about that as the show rolls on, rides in 2nd spot.
Kyle Bonsignore tipped the cap to his crew chief, Cam Durant, a very experienced crew chief in the Whelen Modified Tour. He said the adjustments that he makes in the second half of the race after the pit stop is where we have gotten so much better. A little bit of contact between Craig Lutz and Joey Coulter sent the 0-2 up the racetrack as Lutz continues to make up for lost ground. Remember, he was on pit road 3 times under that caution, but put a period on the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignore. Just kind of thinking through how good they get in the second half of the race. He's second and starting to close in on the race leader, Tommy Catalano.
For all the noise we talked about with Craig Lutz pitting 3 times and mired back in the field and how that could be a problem, how about the one of Patrick Emmerling? Emmerling, one of the fastest guys early on. He's behind Trevor Catalano going down into turn number 1. They're outside the top 10 right now as they're just trying to break in right now. Patrick Emmerling officially or unofficially 13th on the racetrack.
Go back a bit further. Danny Bone in the 25 machine. Great to have him with us. Ran the Smart Tour much this season. Battle for the race lead. Tommy Catalano running the low groove of the racetrack, but his car drifts up off turn number 2 as Kyle Bonsignore tries to find racing room. That 22 car looks really sporty here tonight. A tremendous amount of confidence out of Kyle Bonsignore as he continues to close in and put pressure on the race leader.
You know, he started the season off with terrible, terrible luck. And talking to him about mid-season, this is before he picked up the win at White Mountain, I said, what keeps you coming back? You always have a smile on your face. You're literally the happiest guy in the garage area some weekends. He said, you know, if we didn't have speed, if we weren't running strong, I don't know if I'd really want to do this. So they get luck on their side. They have a couple of races come their way. And, you know, you look, one of the key stats about Kyle Bonsignore that I see really standing out this year is the fact that he's led 221 laps. That is more than 3 times the laps he's led in any other season. So a grizzled veteran who's performing at a higher level than he ever has in 2025, going after the lead. Tommy Catalano currently shows the way.
Catalano won that first career victory at one of the smallest tracks on the circuit, Winchester, New Hampshire's Monadnock Speedway, earlier this season on a doubleheader weekend. Now he's leading at one of the most iconic and historic venues in all of NASCAR, the Martinsville Speedway, as we will see 78 laps of the 200 complete. Bonsignore pitching that car sideways off the corner, trying to do everything he can to cross up that 54 and take over the race lead.
We got a couple of family men racing for the lead right now. You have Tommy Catalana, who, as he and his wife are expecting, we pointed that out earlier in the evening. And then you have car 22, Kyle Bonsignor, stabbing to the inside, going to the lead. Brand new leader, car number 22, as we complete lap number 79. Now, if you love Halloween, then Bonsignor is your guy. Their front yard is full of about 8 skeletons. It's almost like a Christmas manger scene, but it's not that because obviously it's Halloween. His family gets so into it. They do family costumes nearly every single year, and they're looking forward to the upcoming holiday.
Yeah, just a week away. We get into the Halloween season, and they want to be able to make sure that they've decorated the pumpkins with a grandfather clock and a win tonight. You go back to the 3rd spot. Matt Hirschman continues to falter. The 70 car of Andy Seiss, an interesting story there for him, returning to Martinsville Speedway, where he's had some good history in his modified career. Austin Beers is there, navigating through traffic. Beers has been able to move back up to the 6th spot. And this is kind of what Austin Beers has done all season. You think he's struggling, he's down and out, things start to go backpedal. He's back in 13th, 14th, then all of a sudden he creeps forward. He moves forward a little more, while Justin Bonsignor now finds himself 9th after winning the pole and leading the opening 47 laps of tonight's race.
Yeah, if they end up picking up the win here tonight, that 64 team is going to celebrate. They are performing at a level that they haven't before in the history of that entire team. Mike Murphy, we talked to him earlier this afternoon, and just saying, you know what, you have that he has that Irish flair that he brings to the modified tour, and he's just a jolly guy. And he said, no matter what happens here tonight, we've accomplished so much. I really want the championship. And sure enough, we're going to celebrate. He's overcome some health issues in the last couple of years, but at 68 years old, he's ticking, and he's cheering on his driver right now.
Go back behind him, Tommy Baldwin, the 7 York machine. Luke Baldwin behind the wheel of that car. Made his debut in the Craftsman Truck Series here in Martinsville in the spring. We'll have another opportunity to run at Phoenix and get some more laps in the Craftsman Truck Series for Thor Sport. That car, a bit of a handful, will allow Jake Lutz to peer down to the inside at turn 1.
Jake Lutz and that team, that's his 3rd car. As I mentioned, he was 3rd place last year, fastest on the racetrack towards the end of the race, using guys from RFK Racing. Now, Joe Stearns, the car owner on the number 14, that's delivered. The font on the 14 is delivered. The color on the 14 is delivered as well. Big AJ Foyt fans, and it's a tribute to him. They would love to run the full tour, but they really concentrate. And I asked him earlier, I asked Joe, I said, you know, how far in advance do you plan out the season? He said, I look at a spreadsheet, I look at what we can do, where we think that, you know, Jake's going to succeed and everything, because every time, you know, they do race, they're up in the top 10. They're up in the top 5, and that is that's certainly planned. It's not something they really fall into, because they pick and choose wisely, even though they'd still love to run the tour. Now feeling the pressure from Justin Bonsignor, who's found some speed in that 51.
When you look at the stopwatch, Justin Bonsignor has one of the faster cars on the racetrack. His cousin Kyle Bonsignor, the race leader, is quickest right now, but Justin is mired back in traffic. He'll pick up the 8th position as he works under Jake Lutz into turn number 3. So a fast race car, but the loss of that track position really starting to hurt Justin Bonsignor here as we make our way closer to halfway.
Car number 51, 4 championships, 46 wins, and about this time last year when he had rolled off 3 wins in a row and he had passed Reggie Ruggiero for 2nd of all time on the list, he started to look at Mike Stefanik's record and wonder if he could actually make it. And Justin, I believe he was 36 or 37 at the time, he thought, you know, if I do 2 wins a year for the next 15 years, I'm going to be right in the thick of things. And of course his life has changed quite a little bit. Delivered a baby in a parking lot earlier this year, and you know, certainly has some Xfinity Series experience too. So some different life changes, some different racing changes for the 51. I wonder if he still has the fire to continue to run for the next 25 years. And I asked him that earlier this afternoon. He said, maybe not. I don't think I'm going to be out there that long. And I think a little differently than I did 1 year ago. And my racing career has become a little more condensed as other things have started to take precedence. And we've seen that a lot with many different drivers who are about this age group, where they don't want to miss you know, the moments of being a dad in his case.
There's no doubt that Justin Bonsignor will go into the history books as one of the great Whelen Modified Tour competitors of all time. He's got a lot of racing left in him as he tracks down Luke Baldwin in that 7 New York, the black machine directly ahead. And he's getting a little bit closer to that championship foe, Austin Beers. But right now, everything favors the 64 car of Beers trying to win that first series championship, as we're just 5 laps away from halfway. Luke Baldwin's got a bright future ahead of him in that 7 New York. Been great seeing him, now a 2-time Smart Modified Tour champion. Big win at North Wilkesboro last time out. And that 7 New York and that team, they've been part of this all season long. Couple of different drivers in that car this year. Great to see Doug Coby get back behind the wheel, albeit for a short period at New Hampshire Motor Speedway with mechanical failures there. The 7 New York, and Luke Baldwin certainly has a bright future ahead of him as well.
Luke Baldwin continues to impress at the young age that he is. Last year when he won the Smart Modified Tour Championship, and he had a Whelen race the very next day. I saw him in between. I says, "Hey, champ, congratulations, nice job. You know, how'd you guys celebrate?" He says, "I went to bed. I got 8 hours sleep last night." He's very disciplined and wise beyond his years, and it's that discipline that has helped carry him to his early success and his rapid rise through the ranks, as you mentioned, running for Thor Sport earlier this year, having another opportunity at Phoenix, looking for big things out of that number 7-2. But if he were just throwing caution to the wind and you know, living like a hooligan, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have those opportunities.
I'll take 8 hours of sleep any night. Let's go.
When's the last time you got 8 hours of sleep? I gotta ask him how he does that.
He's a lot younger.
Yeah, he doesn't have to get up to pee.
Let's go down to pit road and hear more on Luke Baldwin. Jesse, please save us.
Well, I just wanted to add on to what you guys were just discussing when you mentioned Luke being wise beyond his years. He's an incredibly mature young man, both on and off the racetrack. As you said, a 2-time champion already in the Smart Tour. And he says just 4 years ago, he was just a race fan. He thought it'd be cool to try driving a car. And now look at him, a 2-time champion and holding his own in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. You said it, a very bright future for that 7NY of Luke Baldwin.
And that's so true, Jesse. You know, it's so easy to think. He grew up in a racing family. His grandfather, Tiger Tom Baldwin. His dad, Tommy Baldwin, successful crew chief in NASCAR. But he only got behind the wheel a handful of years ago, driving some Legends cars, scaled his way up. He took to it very quickly, and you can see the success just pretty much right out of the gate.
It defies the current trend of you have to start when you're 5 years old. So many of today's kids start at that age, and if you start, say, in racing at 13, you've missed the mark and you missed all of those formative years. Luke Baldwin, I'm not saying he didn't have interest in racing, but I had a very similar conversation that Jesse had with him, in which he said, I said, "Hey, so how long have you been doing this anyway?" He says, "Yeah, you know, basically the same story of I only did this a couple of years ago. I liked watching racing, figured I'd try it out, and here I am." And he's within, I mean, he's already in the Craftsman Truck Series, but he's on the verge of breaking through into the top 3 series on a more regular basis as he trails Austin Beers going into turn number 3.
And Austin Beers really the same way, mature beyond his years. That's why he's not getting rattled. Winning that championship very early on in his career when he was just 13 years old. He's got 4 championships in all, including the Racing Champions Tour, where he's a champion there. He's been through this championship battle, the mentality, the grind, week in, week out, and try not to lose much sleep. I said, "How much did you think about what tonight would look like here in Martinsville?" He said, "You know, honestly, I had to work a ton this week." He installs fences for a living out in Pennsylvania. He said, I had to work a lot this weekend, and that allowed me not to put a lot of time and thought into my race car because I didn't have time to do it." And I think when you roll into a race and you're fresh and you're ready to go, and he probably got 8 hours of sleep too, that he's all set. He wasn't worried about it all week. His mind was too busy on other things.
That's what I'm going to start adopting that policy. Just work, 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 work. And what are you doing? I'm avoiding my feelings right now. And then you just throw yourself into work. Austin Beers, his rapid ascent through the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour is pretty well documented too. He was Rookie of the Year in 2022, and if he holds on for the next 95 laps and becomes the youngest champion in Tour history, the ascent from Rookie of the Year to champion will be the shortest since Todd Szegedy did it in consecutive years in 2002 when he was Rookie of the Year, and the 2003 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion just the following year when Austin was just, what was he, 1?
He finds himself in heavy traffic right now, lap traffic all around. The car starting to skate out from underneath him. But, you know, Jesse, week in and week out, that calm, cool, collected approach from Austin Beers is what's got him to this point in the season.
That's That's right, you guys. And when you talked about Austin kind of holding off on when he's going to mentally really focus on this race, he told me, look, I love Martinsville and I'm confident here, but I really haven't started thinking about what this race is going to look like. And we have a caution out on the racetrack.
It's exactly what we heard too as well. Third caution of the night here in the Virginia's for Racing Lovers 200 at the Martinsville Speedway, the series finale for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. As the field circulates around here, gets caught up with the pace car here in the back straightaway. There you see the 64 pit sign is out, and they are getting ready to bring this car down pit lane. This is about the opportunity you want to come get those final adjustments and a critical pit stop for the 64 of Austin Beers as he marches ever so closer to that championship. Now 91 laps remaining in the 2025 season, and Austin Beers with the upper hand over Justin Bonsignore.
I think if he does get rattled, he's going to have to blame it on everybody else, because left to his own devices, left inside his own head, he's not going to get rattled. But when it's bozos like us who are like, hey, you thinking about this? Or what if this happens? Or are you worried about this? It's only then. You ever have that situation in life where you weren't even thinking about the thing, but as soon as someone said it, you couldn't get it out of your head, and then, you know, whatever happens, happens. But if he does get rattled, might be one of our faults. I don't know. But he's ahead of Justin Bonsignore, who's ahead of Jake Lutz. I expected Lutz to have, and we still have a lot of time to go in this race, but I expected him to be a little higher in the ranking here tonight, based on what happened last year, based on the way they prepare their pits, their cars. And speaking of the pits, let's go down trackside.
Yeah, pit road is open. Everybody coming in. Jesse, it is Kyle Bonsignore who's going to lead him down the pit lane, and pit stop's underway. Critical stop here at this point in the race, Jesse.
That's right. Both the 64 and the 51 teams are up on the pit wall right now. We're going to see, it looks like we've got some tires ready to go. And I will finish what I was saying earlier about this A team. Austin Beers says, look, I know how good the 51 was at Riverhead and at Thompson, and I was really focused on those races. But now we're here at Martinsville, and it is all go as that 64 team changes both rear tires. The 51 team also taking 2 rear tires, and the 64 is off pit road and on his way. The 51 follows just behind.
51 had a little bit of a problem with Justin Bonsignore getting out of his pit stall, had to work around some of the crew members that were just finishing up the tires of Austin Beers. He wasn't going to beat him off pit lane regardless. But Austin Beers and that 64 team able to beat Justin Bonsignore off of the pit lane. The first car off pit road, though, was the race leader when we came down pit lane, and that was Kyle Bonsignore, who was able to get out first among all of them onto that first loop around pit lane.
Joey Coulter had a nice jump too, up inside the top 5. He gained 6 positions. And then there was Jake Lutz, who gained 3. Austin Beers gained 2 on that one as they come back down pit road and do it again. There's Lutz on pit road. Patrick Emmerling has joined. Kyle Bonsignore, John Michael Chanette, Eric Goodale coming to the pits. Ryan Newman, Mike Marshall.
Justin Bonsignore came down pit road. Now for that third tire, he'll take the right front tire. No fuel on this, but you've got Austin Beers, who did not come back down pit lane, and he is out on track, will gain a lot of track position over the 51 of Justin Bonsignore, who's trying to do everything he can to get some more speed out of that 51, but he's going to be deep in the pack when we get back under the green flag.
And Austin Beers trying to stay as close to the front as he can to maybe get that bonus point for leading a lap. Just a little insurance for him. A couple of drivers flying under the radar here in this the middle stages of this race. You have Tyler Ripkema in car number 3, his first full season with the old blue bowler car. And to see that team really gel in the second half of the year has been amazing to see. And had a little conversation with Tyler a few weeks ago. He said, you know, it's great to finally have things smooth out a little bit so we can plan for races 4 and 5, you know, events ahead. And I said, well, there's only 2 races left in the year. What are you guys doing? Oh, yeah, we're already planning for 2026. Even when they hadn't seen the schedule, they kind of had an idea how things might flesh out. And I think going into a brand new season with the notebook that they were able to build, both the team and the driver, really going to pay dividends for number 3 next year. Look for them to make a bit of a jump.
Let's talk about the 64 of Austin Beers. So a 2-tire stop, take rear tires only, will get him 5th. Justin Bonsignore will restart in 12th. But let's unpack this team a little bit. Mike Murphy, the car owner of this team, has been at this 20 years. He started his Whelen Modified Tour team in 2006. He's had a lot of great drivers, originally starting off with Ron Juhas. Now, how did he end up here? We talked about the pride of Ireland. Well, he was from Waterford, Ireland. He moved to Waterford, Connecticut, where there happens to be a short track there. He started running late models, full-bodied competitors there. Got introduced to modified racing through Ron Uhas, who used to drive this 64 car until an accident sidelined him, where he literally flipped the car upside down. That injury took him out of the race car, but put him back behind the scenes to work with his team. There's a three-headed monster here. You've got Eric Beers, who's the dad of Austin Beers and a modified tour regular himself. There's Ron Uhas in the ball cap on the left-hand side. He was a driver of the 64 car for many years, never got it to victory lane, but Austin Beers was able to do that. And the man on the right with the glasses, that is Sly Zabin. Tonight, if he could win the championship, he would also add his name to the record books. It would be his 5th title ever. He won 3 with Mike Stefanik along the way. He won 1 with Ryan Preece, who ironically enough, if Austin Beers wins this championship tonight, will break Ryan Preece's record for being the youngest Whelen Modified Tour champion. Sly Zabin, one of the brightest minds in the Whelen Modified Tour, looking for his 5th tonight. He won his first championship as a crew chief in 1989, and he said, on my drive home, he said, to most people, the broad scale across the globe, this doesn't mean anything, but to me, to racers, winning a Whelen Modified Tour championship is our whole world. And that feeling since 1989 has never gone away. And tonight, I've got an opportunity to do it again. I never thought I would be here again to win a championship. And Sly Zabin, you see him crunching the numbers down there, looking at the laptop, studying the game with Ron Uhas, a key part of Murphy's number 64 team in the KLM Motorsports, with an opportunity to win the championship here tonight in Martinsville.
I like that eye contact. I know what you're thinking, but here's what I'm thinking. Let's do the best for the team. Let's go get that clock. Let's go get a championship, all right? Here we go. Green flag is back, and someone misses the shift,
Trouble,
I believe.
it's Matt Hirschman, and Justin Bonsignor sneaks through to the bottom as he was able to get on through, and it is a parking lot here across the start-finish line at Martinsville. It was Matt Hirschman who did not come up to speed, and his car got rooted out of the lane, of the outside lane, got turned in front of everybody, and Justin Bonsignor, who was deep in pack, darted to the inside lane and was able to avoid catastrophe in his title hopes.
You know, that could have been big for Austin Beers. Let's take a look at the replay here. Off of turn number 4, coming up to speed, Hirschman, your 4th car on the outside of row number 2, gets hit by Ripkema after not coming up to speed. Nice dodge by not only Hirschman, but Trevor Catalano. Ryan Newman got through it, but nobody else did. One more look here.
Watch how close to 60 comes to the 64. The car gets jacked up, he gets turned sideways, and by a half a car length, Austin Beers was through, and then he was headed toward the 51 of Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor had about a half a car width away from damage there, but a lot of cars involved as everybody just grabbed a lot of brake to try to avoid getting collected in that one, including Danny Bone, who got turned around on the front stretch.
Let's just say that Austin has that last pit stop and is mired back in the field just a little bit, like say 4 or 5 positions. He would have been right in the middle of that, and I don't think it would have, ended his race, but still would have put a lot of drama and a lot of undue stress on that number 64 team to ensure the championship. The road's a little easier, as he did it from the inside of row number 3 coming to the green that time.
For whatever reason, Matt Hirschman's car just did not get moving when he went. I watched it from that second row. The first 2 were able to jump away with the race lead, and Hirschman's car just stalled. Everybody came bearing down on him. Red flag is out. Sean Houlihan displaying that from atop the flag stand here in Martinsville, and the field is stopped in turns 3 and 4 while they work on just cleaning some of the debris off the front straightaway, with about 15 cars in all that were piled in. A bent left front rim and wheel for the 60 of Matt Hirschman, and plenty of damage as that bumper is pushed heavily in, hopefully not punctured the radiator on that 60 car.
Hirschman will look to race another lap, but it's going to be a long pit stop as we're under red. Are they able to? No, they aren't able to work on the race car right now, but waiting for it quickly to come. Let's just take a look at this one more time. Coming off the corner, Lutz spins a little bit. Hirschman just doesn't come up to speed. There's Mike Christopher getting involved, and then Kyle Bonsignor has a huge shot. He's the one that caused the damage on the front of the 60.
Talk about the bad luck of the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignore. That's another example of it, how quick he was tonight. Now finds himself with damage on the 22, and we'll have to see if they can get that car repaired to the speed that they had earlier in the day today. You look at that replay, you can see how Matt Hirschman's car did not come up to speed. You see Tyler Ripkema right behind was trying to give him some room, but it was Mike Christopher Jr. who didn't see that and was on the accelerator coming up through for the restart, just pushing forward, and that got into Ripkema, that then got into Matt Hirschman, and Hirschman with the damage here as his car sits on pit lane under the red flag. 117 laps of the 200 complete.
Shout out to our camera guys here tonight, too. Our camera artists who have been zooming in and seeing the whites of the eyes of these competitors under the lights here at one of NASCAR's most storied facilities. Earlier, you saw Justin Bonsignore as he was preparing to lead from the inside of the front row. And then Matt Hirschman, who's one of the most studious drivers on the tour and running the tour for the first time all the way through since, I believe, 2012 or 2011, and just seeing his season of frustration because he's not necessarily where he would like to be this time of year. Just the whites of his eyes as he gets ready to watch his crew assess the damage.
83 laps to go in the series finale for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. We're under the red flag for a multi-car incident along the front straightaway.
We couldn't do it without Whelen. I don't believe we've ever taken a product off that was broken. We put the car out of service.
What price do you put on a life? We don't want to run the risk of causing loss of life through our response.
Whelen sells peace of mind. Their goal is to get home each and every evening. And if we play a small part in ensuring they get home safely each day, it's extremely gratifying.
Still under the red flag here in Martinsville Speedway, Martinsville, Virginia, the series finale here for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for a multi-car incident on the restart as they came to the green flag, and it all started on the second row outside lane. Matt Hirschman collected several cars. So red flag remains out. The race leader after all of that, Luke Baldwin. Craig Lutz sits second. You got Tommy Catalano still having a good day, riding there in the third position, and Austin Beers, your championship point leader, sitting in fourth. That's unofficial until NASCAR has the opportunity to get the lineup all put in place, but as I sit parked out on the racetrack, that should be how they come back around among those top four. You look through this championship battle, and a lot of discussion has been going on between Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignore, as it should be, as they look for the series championship, but you've got to look at the big picture because you go a little bit deeper. Inside the top 10, there's a lot of different opportunity for drivers to move forward and move up and move down as they go through races within a race. And as we take a look at the payout for the year in 2025, look at this, $412,000. This was announced here a year ago. The extra bonus money from Whelen, the extra bonus money from Flow Racing, all piled into an $82,000 plus prize for the series champion. But as you go through the top 10, several $1,000s in extra bonus money to finish third versus fourth or fifth over seventh. As you look through these battles, some of the battles pretty tight. You look at the battle from 5th, 6th, and 7th, only separated by just 6 or 7 points there, and an opportunity for those drivers to be able to advance their position. Drivers like Tyler Ripkema, if he has a good day, he could possibly move up and finish in the 8th position. So some movement still to be had, and a couple extra dollars to race for in the year-end payout by improving your final standing.
A couple of extra dollars. I mean, let's just say you're racing for $8,000, and where that takes your team and what you can do to reinvest in your resources for the 2026 season. Again, sponsored by Whelen, which will be their 26th season as a title sponsor. Celebrating the 40th anniversary of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here this season, closing it out here tonight and doing it with a huge year-end payout. I think it's one of the reasons why Matt Hirschman stuck with the tour as long as he has. He's notoriously, they call him Big Money Matt, obviously runs the big open shows and goes wherever the big paycheck is and often gets that paycheck. But this year was even more methodical by not picking and choosing. He stayed with the Whelen Modified Tour throughout the entire year. Again, first time he's done that in nearly 13, 14 years.
Great to have Matt Hirschman back full time. Jesse, we've talked a lot about the battle between Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignore, but it goes beyond just being fierce competitors on the racetrack, doesn't it?
That's right. There's a lot of respect between these two. As I mentioned earlier, I saw Justin come up to Austin before the race, give him a big hug. They had a little good luck to each other. Zero animosity between the two of them. And after that, Austin looked at me and he said, look, if I'm going to lose to anybody, I'm okay with losing to that guy. Justin Bonsignore in that 51 team, the amount of credibility and success they have had in this series. Austin says if there's anyone in this series that I'm okay with losing to, it would be Justin Bonsignore. And let's be real, if he can overcome that points difference and beat Austin, Austin said, hey, even more respect to him. So you see these teams, they're chumming it up down here on pit road. There's a lot of good energy between the two of them, despite how much is on the line tonight.
Yeah, by the nature of it, Jesse, they end up spending a lot of time near each other. We saw this in the past with Justin Bonsignore and Ron Silk. By the way, they pit in the paddock area. Their trailers are right next to each other. They're rubbing elbows while they're in the garage area trying to work on their race cars. They hear and see what their opponent is doing mere 3-4 feet away in the garage area. There's no secrets here when you're running for a championship. They're pitted next to each other, even on pit road. The first two pit stalls here tonight, they can see exactly what their opponent is doing as they eye this championship tonight.
You know what I've seen out of Justin in just the last 3 weeks, and you've been watching him a lot longer than I have on a week-to-week basis, but I've gotten to know Justin quite a little bit, and to see him move into a new phase in his career. He's still up in front. He's still challenging for championships. Heck, he could win one here tonight. But just the way he seems to be fostering some of this younger talent. And think of when he started winning his championships. There were drivers that, you know, he idolized and he was on the come up. And now he's paying it back. You know, he's a little south of 40 years of age. And, you know, with the wealth of young talent in this division, whether it's Luke Baldwin, whether it's Austin Beers, he is the guy that is going to race you hard. He's going to teach you a few lessons, but he's also going to take you under wing and say, hey, you know what, this is just fun. We're family, and you know, we're going to fight like family, but we're also going to treat each other like family in the loving sense as well. Great to see that out of Justin Bonsignore, adding something more to his resume.
There's Ryan Stone, that jacket behind. He is a crew chief that has been part of the magic behind this Ken Massa Motorsports team. Ken Massa out in Long Island, who saw at the Riverhead Raceway Justin Bonsignore racing, and he said, you know, I could give this kid an opportunity. At the time, Justin didn't have a lot of opportunities to go racing, but Ken Massa put his faith, his dollars behind Justin Bonsignore. They showed up in what was, I think at the time, a white and blue, maybe even had a little bit of red 51, and everybody was like, who is this Justin Bonsignore guy in this 51 car? And it wasn't that long before everybody figured out who it was. There, Ken Massa, the car owner, of the 51 team, looking for his 5th championship. He has orchestrated this entire team to be as successful as it has been over the last little bit, and he has put Justin Bonsignore, the right people in his path to be able to be to the point where he can vie for a 5th championship, and all those wins have put him 2nd on the all-time win list in the modern era.
You know, there's another driver who we haven't spoken of here tonight, and that's because he's not in the race, but he is the winningest driver in the series this year, and that's Ron Silk. Silk, whenever he would race, you know, he missed a couple of races, decided to pick and choose this year and not go for the championship, but had he continued to run all the races, I'm not sure if we'd have a championship battle. He was just mowing them down week in and week out, but that was one of the things that I kind of missed, seeing Ron Silk on a week-to-week basis. It was always a treat to see him, you know, compete, but Silk is another one of those drivers who is starting to reach a point where he's taking younger drivers under his wing and paying it forward. We're seeing a lot of paying it forward with the tenured drivers in the Whelen Modified Tours. We're now getting back under yellow.
Yeah, caution flag comes back out. Let's take another look at exactly what happened that brought us under the red flag. On the restart, black number 60 in the outside lane did not come up to speed, gets jacked up as they stacked up behind him. The championship contenders were able to navigate on through, but several cars involved, including Danny Bone and Kyle Bonsignore on the 22, who's rode a couple behind. There you see the 77 turning the 3 into the 60, and it was on from there. So several cars involved. Teddy Hodgson, Joey Coulter got a piece of that, Stephen Kopsick, and others. Now that the yellow flag is out, red flag lifted, you can see the work underway on the left front of the 60 of Matt Hirschman. Hirschman was funny earlier today. They had cars rolling out onto the track for practice, and he was just strolling in with his blue jeans and jacket, calm, cool, and collected. That's the way Matt Hirschman usually is. They're going to try to see if they can keep this car on the lead lap, but they've got the old Bear Bond tape out, trying to keep that grill pointed in the right direction and make sure that they get as much cooling to those brakes. That is one thing they will do here on the modifieds for this racetrack. Martinsville traditionally very heavy on the braking with these long straightaways. They got to make sure they got those vents pushing into those tires to keep those front rotors as cool as possible.
This red flag really helped that situation because we've had a couple of really long green flag runs, and you've seen the rotors start glowing with 3/4 of the field. Even after 20 laps or so, these drivers, they're not in cruise control. They're in, you know, chase mode, hard mode. You see Trevor Catalano on the racetrack too. A little bit of smoke billowing out of that race car.
He's got a rub on the right rear tire for Trevor Catalano, likely some contact that he might not have been aware of based on that incident here on the front straightaway. So Trevor Catalano is going to come down pit lane. He said something to be interesting. Thompson Speedway, he said, our car was really good last time out, but we had a red flag. And the tires, they changed size as they cooled, and it impacted the setup of our race car. Curious to see if under that long red flag here, whether or not that has an impact on the outcome of this race today. Whether or not those tires that they put on not too long ago, did they grow differently and now have cooled in a way that you don't expect that could impact the performance? We'll keep an eye on that.
Especially with our top 2 championship contenders. And there you get a good look at Uncle Trevor in number 56. That's what we're calling him now, as he was the one that actually broke the news to us this afternoon. It's funny that I think amongst the Catalano family, everyone knows who's, and everybody in a family, everybody, and I don't care whose family it is, everybody has that one family member who just loves to break the news to everybody else. Every family has one, and for the Catalanos, it appears to be Trevor's, because we found out about the new addition to the family from Uncle Trevor.
I wonder who it is in your family.
My family, it's me. Here I am trying to think and lay blame to everybody else and point the finger, and I'm like, nope, I'm the problem.
They were able to peel that Nerf bar away from that right rear tire. Trevor Catalano back out on track, but pretty good groove into that tire. I imagine they'll want to come down pit road and see if they can get that replaced before we go back under the green flag. Everybody cycled back around. Luke Baldwin is the race leader. Tommy Catalano second. Austin Beers and Justin Bonsignore now 3rd and 4th. As the field cycles around, a couple of cars have come on and off pit road, including Teddy Hodgson and Brian Newman, who's on pit road in the Ford car with an extended trip on pit lane for him. And that car, a driver who finished inside the top 5 of this race 1 year ago.
I bet you Trevor Catalano is the type that gets you a Christmas present, but can't wait till Christmas. Get so excited. You ever do that? You get so excited about what you give somebody, you're like, okay, I got you a present, You're going to love it. You're going to, here's your present. You don't do that, do you?
No, you know, I don't. I don't do that.
You don't get excited?
Oh, no, I don't get excited.
Are you a hider? Do you hide your gifts?
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes, I hide my gifts. Working the caution here.
I'd ask, but I know your family's watching, and that's just not advice.
Well, you know, I can't tell them yet.
The man has to have his secrets.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We've got a long way to go. You know, I was thinking well, there's a 56 continuing to work on this race car. Out in the 70 York to see Luke Baldwin out in front. His spotter today is Freddie Kraft, who is a spotter for Bubba Wallace at 2311 Racing, the NASCAR Cup Series, and is a modified fan through and through from the Northeast. Host of Door Bumper Clear, the podcast there, along with Tom Baldwin, the owner of that 70 York, and Luke's dad. There's the entire crew up atop the roof here at the Martinsville Speedway. The spotters looking down.
And it's cold. It's chilly, you know, being from the Northeast. You think, okay, we're going to Virginia for a couple of days. You're going to pack shorts, a jacket? No. And you gave me so much baloney for not bringing a winter jacket.
I did. Hirschman back on pit road. It was Brian Narducci who drove the 3-car at points last season. Up there on the spotter stand, Brandon Wilkinson, who spots for Ryan Preece, is spotting tonight, as is Ryan Blanchard, who was a spotter for Justin Bonsignor for many years in his championship run, and now the spotter for Zane Smith, all coming from modified racing.
Interesting, the 2 championship contenders sit on the second row as we watch Ryan Newman. Newman pulls to the infield after a little contact in that incident.
Well, Ryan Newman, tough day for him as he will pull back behind the wall. The field doubled up here along the back straightaway. Luke Baldwin trying to get some heat in the tires of that 70 York, and Tommy Catalano will line up on the front row. We'll get back under the green flag. Will be 76 laps to go when the green flag comes back out here at Martinsville Speedway. Double up pace car is in. Baldwin to the bottom. The 2 championship contenders make up row 2. We'll see if we have a clean start this time. Green flag out, and Baldwin and Catalano dive off into the corner. It's the advantage going to the 70 York inside for Baldwin.
And Austin Beers comes up the inside, now sniffing the lead for the first time tonight. He has Justin Bonsignor in his tire tracks. They'll both go to the low side of Tommy Catalano off of turn number 4.
Austin Beers learned that lesson early in the night. You don't get hung out in the outside lane at Martinsville because you go backward. He's on the attack on the back bumper of Luke Baldwin.
That's his good friend and fierce competitor on the racetrack. Gives him a little bit of room, and count the extra point for leading a lap. It's Austin Beers with Justin Bonsignor in tow back into turn 1.
Here's Justin Bonsignor. He'll slide into second now as Baldwin finds himself to the outside lane. Michael Christopher Jr. way up the hill in turns 1 and 2. He continues rolling, but he loses a handful of spots.
You know, you talk about tires changing and drivers having some issues. Tommy Catalano might be falling into that category. He's under attack from Patrick Emmerling, and now Luke Baldwin, who's lost a bunch of spots, finally finds the inside right in front of Steven Kopsick off of turn number 2.
Back straightaway they go. Patrick Emmerling in 4th. Putting pressure on 3rd, Steven Kopsick, who continues to battle back. Not only problems early on in the race, having to start toward the tail end of the field, a little bit of a jingle there midway through, and now he's continuing to knock on the door for a top 5.
Emmerling looks down to the inside, has a good run on Tommy Catalano, and Tomcat swings to the high side. Meanwhile, your championship contenders, and another battle happening there with Luke Baldwin getting sideways, about 35 degrees sideways on the outside of Eric Goodale as they go back into 1.
Nice save by Baldwin that time, but he'll lose a handful of spots, but it could have been a lot worse. Here's Ripkema now coming to the inside of the 70 York.
Further on up, Justin Bonsignor has gotten in front of Austin Beers, so Justin trying to get the bonus point for leading the most laps. He led 47 earlier this evening, and certainly, I believe, actually has led the most laps here tonight thus far. It's pretty close, and he leads the freight train that now includes Patrick Emmerling, who could be the fastest car on the racetrack in car number 1. Here they are off of turn number 4.
He's closed in on those top 2 pretty quickly, Bonsignor and Beers. As Bonsignor now out in front, was able to get by Beers a moment ago. Beers settles into 2nd, and Emmerling closing in there, trying to take that runner-up spot away, or at least put pressure on Austin Beers.
Drivers work off of turn 4. Now Austin Beers. I think Austin is okay with riding at 2nd right now, but he doesn't want to lose Justin too much. He's under attack, though. He's going to have to go on the defense because Patrick Emmerling has a big run of steam. This time down the back straightaway, he goes after him in 3.
Austin Beers thinking big picture. 2nd is good enough to win the championship. 8th is good enough to win the championship. Get your car to the end, get it to the finish, and that would mean that you are the 2025 Whelen Modified Tour champion. You still have a good race car, Even though Emmerling challenges to the inside lane, no pressure. Beers going to let him go right on through. That's a spot he can afford to give up for now.
And that is a spotter talking into Austin Beers' ear and reminding him, big picture, good on the 64 team for knowing when to race. He might be saving his car because you never know if you're going to need it in a green-white checkered, or if we get into a late race situation where you're going to need to sprint for 10-15 laps. Now, this is something we've seen quite a bit this year. Patrick Emmerling having the fastest car on the racetrack, that Dale Hedquist prepared race car, the Fleetwood ride, rides off of turn number 2. They haven't had the luck that they had last year. Remember, in the middle of 2024, they rattled off 3 wins in 5 races. That catapulted them into the championship chase as a first-year team. And then when we came out of the gate in New Smyrna Speedway back in February, they laid it down and won, and kind of just set the motion of saying, if you're coming for the championship, you have to come through the 1 car. Then they had a couple of issues. As you mentioned, they had a number of DNFs in the first 5 races. We're finally able to shake that, but they've had speed year-round, and that speed is carried to a battle for the lead in turn 2.
So the battle for the race lead, but I want to go back to something that we're starting to see out of the 64 car of Austin Beers, who rides in the 3rd position. Remember, 8th is as far back as Austin Beers can go. But you look back in the running order, Austin Beers took 2 tires, 2 rear tires on that last pit stop. Justin Bonsignor took 3 tires. He rides 3rd right now. Connor Jones is in 8th. He's 4 seconds behind Austin Beers. And when you look at the stopwatch, Austin Beers is running lap times that aren't as competitive as they once were. He was about even that time through, but he was running 19.3s while the cars behind him were running 19.2s. Is this more than Austin Beers being easy and conserving his race car, or is that 2-tire strategy going to hurt them as we work through the final 60 laps of tonight's race?
It's very interesting, Joe, because he jumped right into the battle for the lead. He jumped out, he took the lead for a couple of laps, so he has the speed. He knows he's not going to lead the most laps, so it's almost a situation where, like, if you go way back of Bill Elliott and Alan Kawicki Cup Championship in 1992, where they had to, or Kawicki led the perfect amount of laps and just knew to back off once he had that. He wasn't going to lead the most laps and let Bill Elliott go do that, so he led his lap and then backed off. That might be what Austin Beers is doing. Took the cheese, got out there, and then now is settling back. But again, also, you got to be concerned because here comes Catalano on the inside. Tommy Catalano moves up in car 54.
So Catalano gets through. Austin Beers now back to 4th. And he continues to lose ground. You see how he was holding that group up because now Steven Kopsick is closing in. Justin Bonsignor doing what he needs to do, but Kopsick is there. Eric Goodale is there. That's another 2 spots. That could slide him back to 7th for Austin Beers if he's not careful. And still a long way to go in this one.
That is a danger zone. And Kopsick is hungry, wants to jump up inside the top 5. He's not going to lay anyways to number 64. As they are about 2 car lengths from each other as they pull off of the corner this time. And now Eric Goodale in the picture, one of only 2 drivers in the field to have picked up a grandfather clock. We have a lot of drivers, our current leader, not one of them, who could pick up a clock for the very first time.
Eric Goodale, the other in the field, who rides in that 58 black with yellow trim just outside in the 6th position. So Austin Beers has not allowed Tommy Catalano to drive away and create too much distance in that speed that you saw out of the 21. And Steven Kopsick has slowed a little bit. About 0.3 of a second is what they fall off as the tires go on the run. So not a big fall off, but when you've got 2 tires to compare to some of the other drivers who have 3, your stuff might go away a little bit faster and a little more drastically if you've got a right front tire that's been on the car for more laps.
A couple of things to look at. Drivers who are coming alive. You have Eric Goodale, who had his fastest lap just 12 laps to go, or 12 laps ago. That's the deepest anybody in the top 10 has had a fastest lap. Then you look at Austin Beers, and on lap number 128, which I believe is the lap that he was battling for the lead, had his fastest lap. So he still has speed in the 64, but still concerned. You can't let too much go as the field gets strung out just a little bit. We zero in on how about Connor Jones in car number 99. He's quietly had a good run, started in 15th, but has run in the top 10 for the majority of tonight's race.
There's the 99 of Connor Jones, who's battling with Trevor Catalano, younger of the two Catalano brothers. It's a battle for 8th, and it's 7 seconds behind the race leader and 3.5 seconds behind Austin Beers, which is critical as far as the championship is concerned.
A couple of drivers in recovery mode. You have Luke Baldwin in the 7 and then Craig Lutz right behind him in the 46. Both of those drivers, whether it was pit strategy or just getting shuffled back due to that big incident with, or started by Matt Hirschman about mid-race, they haven't fully recovered. I don't know if the handling went away, like you had pointed out with the changing of the size of the tires and the cool conditions here tonight, might have changed the handle on these race cars. One thing is for sure, neither the 7 or the 46 are as fast as they were in the first half of the race.
A longer run, and you saw the 7 New Yorker Luke Baldwin just really struggling to hold on to that race car. Granted, he got a little bit of help and shoved out of the groove, but it didn't help him any. And Craig Lutz, who has been known for long run speed on these big tracks here this season, sitting in 11th, would love to be able to get inside the top 10 at least before the checkered flag flies tonight.
48 laps to go when they hit the start-finish line this time, and if they continue to click them off at the pace that they have without a slowing of a caution flag, we could see a brand new Whelen Modified Tour champion inside the next 20 minutes. And what a big moment it would be for the Whelen Modified Tour crown to go back to Pennsylvania for the first time in 20 years.
Mud Lane, where Matt Hirschman's dad, Tony Hirschman, has 5 of those. They are neighbors. Austin Beers has the opportunity to bring one back home for the Beers family at Northampton, Pennsylvania. Still a long way to go, though. Anything can happen. You can't count it until the checkered flag flies. It'll be 45 laps to go when they come through next time by, as we continue to watch this battle between Luke Baldwin and Craig Lutz for that top 10 position.
We have such a great series in the Whelen Modified Tour. We talk about the mix of veterans and newcomers as well. We have a lot of drivers who have the camaraderie that you don't necessarily see at this level all the time. Whether they're young, whether they're old, they battle in from February to this case, late October. It's a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice. And the difference between this series and some of the other series, the Big 3 series, is the fact that many of these drivers and they all battle the same things that us viewers and commentators do. We all have other masters to serve, and this is what we do. These are the things that we work on when we're not putting food on the table. It's a division of passion. It's a storied division with NASCAR's oldest division, and I think there's a certain bond, no matter the age of the driver or their level of experience too. It's like once you're in the modifieds, you're in the modifieds. You're in the brotherhood.
Things looking better for Austin Beers. As we close in toward the end of this race, left side of the screen, the battle for the race lead. Justin Bonsignor holding off a hard-charging Patrick Emmerling, who would love to bookend his season. Austin Beers in the right-hand side in the 64. In the 4th position, Steven Kopchik has closed, but like Emmerling, has not been able to find a way around. And behind them, there's a big gap. Nearly a second and a half back to Eric Goodale and Tyler Ripkema, who are battling for 6th and 7th. The Connor Jones, who's back in that pivotal 8th position, and he is still now a distant 8th at this point in time, as that gap has widened from Austin Beers to the 8th spot, where he needs to finish or better to be able to win this 2025 championship.
And that's going to pay dividends if, say, the 21 and the 64 get together, because it looks like the 21's a little bit faster. Kopchik's ready to make a move, but he's also aware of the moment. Even though he hasn't broken through to victory lane himself, as you mentioned, he's won as a crew chief in one of the most historic races in Modified Tour history. So, Steven knows the game. And again, he knows the moment, he knows Beers, and he doesn't want to treat it with kid gloves, but certainly would want to be raced the same way that he is trying to race Beers right now. So even though he's a little faster, he hasn't made his way around him. Meanwhile, leaders are in lap traffic. This could get interesting. They're on the outside of John Michael Chenette, and Patrick Emmerling has closed in. Is there going to be a bumper in turn 3?
Lap traffic involved. You see Gerstner in the 55 drifted up the racetrack. Emmerling had a follow suit, swung wide through turns 3 and 4. Single file now back into turn 1 with Ken Hagee on the bottom. Does it impact the battle for the win tonight? Hagee out of the way, but Emmerling is there now to the back bumper. Turn 3.
It's been very Tom and Jerry between these two drivers. Emmerling will drop back about 5 car lengths only to reel him in, and then Justin pulls ahead. And we've seen it again here in turn number 1. 51 opens up a 3-car length advantage. You can see the rotors starting to glow as we are about 35 laps into this green flag run, and things are really starting to heat up front.
Emmerling, you see those rotors are bright red as he tries to track down Justin Bonsignore. 35 laps to go in the 2025 season. Bonsignore with a 2-car length advantage now with free racetrack ahead of him. Some lap traffic, about a half a straightaway ahead, but this has allowed Justin Bonsignore to gap the 1 car of Emmerling.
He cannot, or I don't think it's going to be too many more laps before he clinches the lap leader award for that extra bonus point. Now, no matter what he does tonight, by leading big trouble, almost trouble off of turn number 2 for Frank Fleming in the number 40. When we say that Austin Beers had to finish 8th, that's with Justin doing everything. Winning the race, winning the pole, leading a lap, leading the most laps, and he's still up in front back in a 1.
Yeah, he will lead the most laps here tonight, trying to max points just like he did 1 year ago. Right now, Austin Beers plus 6 points to the good as he rides in 4th over Justin Bonsignore in the title chase.
And there's something we didn't expect to see either. Kyle Bonsignore, who's in danger of going down 1 lap, started on the front row, had a great run, was one of the leaders of this race, but was caught in the incident about during the middle of the race, and really hasn't recovered himself. He's in danger of going down a lap, and Kyle currently runs 22nd on the racetrack. He's actually 5 laps in arrears. He had to spend some time on pit road.
Tough break for Kyle Bonsignore. Such a fast race car, and that is just how it's gone. I mean, he was inside the top 10, outside lane, wrong place, wrong time when that green flag came out under the restart and the Matt Hirschman incident here along the front straightaway. And Bonsignore beaten and battered number 22. But I think as you roll into next season, that's a team that says we have gained a lot this year. We won a race. We returned to victory lane after winning a handful of races before. He's got a car that's capable. They've changed a lot of things in their program, and I think when they get back here next season, that 22 car is going to be somebody to contend with.
Last couple of years, it's been all Bonsignore and Silk. And talking to Justin a few weeks ago, he said, I don't know if it's the other guys that caught up or whatever it is, but the playing field's a little bit more even this year. And yeah, to your point, guys like 22, 46, 1, they've all really stepped up their game this year.
Let's go down to pit road and Jesse Punch.
Sly, we've got about 30 laps left in this race. Crew chief in this 64, what can you tell me about the outlook for the remainder of this race?
Well, I mean, it's really hard to hear you right now, but we've got like 30 laps to go. We're just trying to maintain position. If we can stay where we are, we should be in decent shape for a shot at this championship. We're just trying not to do anything foolish and burn the car up and just maintain what we got.
Thanks, Sly.
You know, Joe, you made a point earlier about Sly and winning a modified tour championship and how that just meant the world to him. It might not mean the world to anybody else, but driving home alone after a championship with Ron Uhouse right there, you know that it's going to hit him right in the chest.
Well, you saw a moment ago Ron Uhouse and a rare smile out of both him and Sly to say, all right, I got the hard part done. I got that interview out of the way. And then it's all back to focus. That's a crew right there, just a dynamic group. From the very beginning, Sly always helped the 64, even while working on some of the other cars. He was always a big aid to them. Ron Uhouse, as we talked earlier, a big part of this program, not only as a driver, but now an opportunity to help crew and bring this team to fruition. Many of the different teams and family that have been part of the 64 team since they started in 2006 are still together today and have the opportunity to go through this wave of emotion, having never won a race until it was Austin Beers who put them in victory lane. Now, some 20 years later, he is getting closer, inside of 24 laps away from winning not only his first championship, but the first championship for KLM, for Mike Murphy, the entire group, Ron Uhouse and Sly Zabin, and that entire group in this 64 team.
They said they had a few people come and go, but to your point, it's been that same core group of people, and it's continued to grow over the years. So I think once you're part of this team, you are, even if you're not physically there at the racetrack, you're a bit of a lifer. So this is a celebration, a culmination of 20 years of work that these human beings are potentially going to celebrate in just a little over 20 laps.
We've seen the championship pedigree out of Justin Bonsignore today in a must-win situation has come to do just about everything he can. He's got a healthy advantage now, just under 1 second back to Patrick Emmerling with 21 laps to go. A 4-time series champion, defending champ and defending race winner. Did what he needed to do, but it may come down to just a handful of spots across 16 different races, over 2,700 laps of racing. And Jesse Punch, he's got a good coach behind him as well in the form of Ryan Stone.
Ryan Stone, crew chief of this 51 team. We've got about 20 laps left in this race. What can you tell me about what this 51 has left in them?
I don't know. We got a pretty good cushion right now to the one, but they're kind of charging. I don't know. That's all we got. We've got all our tires, so we've made our bed. I like where we are. I just need to go green the rest of the way, so we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Ryan.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jesse. And you start thinking about if you lose the championship by 6 or 7 points, how fast do you go through your season results and say, well, lost a point there? Or if I hadn't zigged when I zagged, could have got an 8th here instead I got an 11th. You know, you play that over and over in your head in these season-long championships where it isn't just a winner-take-all championship race. We've been doing this since February.
Ryan Stone, one of the best crew chiefs, and that is why he's got those 4 championships with Justin Bonsignore. Spent some time running modified racing up in the Northeast in his home state of Connecticut. Moved down south to work for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Junior Motorsports, specifically on the 7 car with Justin Allgaier. He took a lot of that expertise back to be one of the best crew chiefs in the series. He worked with Justin Bonsignore to those 4 titles, and tonight they may right now come up just a bit short if the race were to end as it stands right now, but they gave it everything they had here throughout the season, with right now Austin Beers running in 5th as Steven Kopchik was able to get by him, still in position to win the title with a top 5 finish.
He might get another grandfather clock out of this one, and he has been dominant at this racetrack the last 2 years. He led 136 laps last year, and he's going to get in that neighborhood again this year. And that was one stat that Justin was a little light on this year. You know, when you compare him to his other championship years, it wasn't until the last couple of races where he got out in front and stayed there for considerable amounts of time, like he has the last couple of races as he comes up on Andy Seiss in number 70.
Justin Bonsignore, one of only a handful of multi-time champions in the series. Mike Stefanik, Doug Coby with 6, Tony Hirschman 5, Bonsignore's 4th, Jimmy Spencer, Ron Silk, and Donnie Leah each with 2 apiece, and then some legendary names like Richie Evans, Mike McLaughlin, Jamie Tomato, who's here tonight, Jeff and Rick Fuller, Wayne Anderson, Jerry Marquis, Todd Zegedy, Ted Christopher, Bobby Santos, John McKennedy, and Ryan Preece, who is also on property here tonight as part of the radio broadcast with the Motor Racing Network. Justin Bonsignore, one of those. And if Austin Beers were to hang on for the final handful of laps here tonight, he would become the 20th different champion of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour and add his name to that storied list of modified greats.
As Bonsignore continues to lead this race, the 51 up in front. We lost the 61 40 years ago tomorrow, so this race always means a lot to the modified community, and that legendary first year that the modifieds had with Richie Evans as your posthumous champion. Won his final race at the Oxford Plains Speedway, where the NASCAR Modified Tour will return for the first time since 1991 on the 2026 season. It was unveiled earlier this year with some venues that they haven't been to in a while. Oxford being one of them, Claremont, first time since 2022. Going to Seekonk Speedway a couple of times, back at White Mountain Motorsports Park. It's going to be a great night, or excuse me, a great season if you're a bull ring driver, which certainly fits into the mold for some of these guys.
Bonsignore sliding his car off turn 2 as he continues to work through lap traffic. He'll come down to the line. There'll be 8 laps to go for him in that 51 team. Hirschman directly ahead, and Patrick Emmerling, who's not done yet, is closing in as they get tighter with lap traffic.
How many times has he done this? And by he, I mean Patrick Emmerling. He has consistently been the fastest driver at the end of the race. He has a ton of second place finishes. He does have a number of wins, but really charging towards the end. If there have been so many occasions where if there were 10 more laps in the race, it would have been Emmerling's. Might run out of time here tonight. Then again, might not with lap traffic of Hirschman. There's the battle for the lead down the backstretch.
Patrick Emmerling going to have something to say here before the end of this one. See if he can bookend the season with that win at New Smyrna and challenge here in the late going. Bonsignor has been strong, but has tiptoed his way through traffic, gets by Hirschman. And now Patrick Emmerling does the same in turn 1.
That was a big one. That was a big move by Justin Bonsignor to buy himself some time. He probably bought himself about 2 laps with catching Matt Hirschman, who's racing with respect, moved out of the way, let the race leader, just take his lumps as it is, as the Phoenix Communications crews look on and watch, just hoping for a miracle here in the next 5 laps. Waiting for Justin Bonsignor to claim another clock, but not a championship if Beer stays right where he is.
Ryan Stone said he wanted it to go green the rest of the way through. 4 laps to go for Justin Bonsignor. Austin Beers rides comfortably in the 4th position, looking for that championship. Beers is mired back in traffic as he works through a little bit deeper in the field. Bonsignor there in turn 1. Meanwhile, we've got a couple of cars slow, including Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling, the 2nd place car, is off the pace, limping through turns 3 and 4. Trevor Catalano is slow to the bottom of turn 3. That car will make it down to pit lane, and the caution flag is out. With 3 laps to go here in Martinsville, as the 1 car of Patrick Emmerling is slow to the bottom of turns 3 and 4. His car has come to a stop, and it is just lifeless right in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
And it could have been a lot worse. There were some cars that came up on him in a hurry, but they took evasive action. And it was interesting coming off of turn number 2. All of a sudden, I was watching Catalano. Trevor Catalano had a tire going down, left rear was way out of sorts, and I thought he might be the one to bring out the late caution. But as it turns out, Patrick Emmerling sits idle. Looks like all 4 tires are up on the number 1 car, the Fleetworks Middlesex Interior sponsored ride, and window net stays up, but Patrick just kind of chilling outside the car.
So there's a 1 of Patrick Emmerling. Now what do? You heard the 51. They've taken all their tires. Only a handful of cars being shown on the lead lap as of now, but we'll let NASCAR scoring cycle back around here under the caution. Justin Bonsignor in the 51 car leading the event. The last thing that he wanted was a caution, and certainly the last thing that Austin Beers wanted was a caution. There is Dad, Eric Beers, down on the pit lane watching. He thought that his son was just moments away from locking up the title, but right now the pressure, the nervousness slides in, something he didn't do in the Whelen Modified Tour. Came close before was Eric Beers, but his son now has to wait it out at least 1 more restart before he has the opportunity to secure the title this season.
Yeah, talking to both of the Beers on pit road earlier this afternoon, talking to Austin about, hey, your dad helped you as far as giving some advice just this week about this championship, and Eric never did get one, and he said, you know what, Dad's really hard to read. I really don't know where I stand with him sometimes, and I'm like, that's the most relatable thing possible. And the Beers family will celebrate here tonight if they can hang on for the next couple of laps, but we are going into an overtime situation.
So we have crossed lap 200. There is Austin Beers riding in 3rd. Steven Kopchik now 2nd with the problems in Patrick Emmerling.
He's being pushed down pit road. Not sure if he's going to refire that one, but we're going to find out here momentarily. Pulls in there. Just a sad ending to the... Is he out of gas?
But taking a look at timing and scoring, just to recap it, Justin Bonsignor was rolling through the field pretty efficiently. As we roll on through, Connor Jones, the 8th place car, is going to be the free pass. So he is going to come back around and be back on the lead lap. So for Austin Beers, if he has problems on this restart and slides back to 8th, it would still be enough for him to win the championship as long as he stays on the lead lap.
The biggest restart of his young career, the 2022 Rookie of the Year, who in just 3 short seasons has become such a force on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, aiming to become the youngest series champion. Ryan Preece, also a 22-year-old champion back in 2013. But Beers, at 22 years, 7 months today, would be the youngest champion since Ryan Preece, who was 22 years, 11 months, and 25 days when he won his championship. As we zero in on Patrick Emmerling on the infield, or on pit road.
Taking a look at the air cleaner here at Bad Luck, striking them in the late going. Inside the carburetor, you see exactly what's going on there. Does not have fire in that one car, and that brought the caution out here in the late going. He was about ready to slide into third, or at least fourth, excuse me, in the championship battle with the problems that Matt Hirschman has had, but looks like he'll be no better than fifth at the end with him being stuck on the pit lane for the one car of Patrick Emmerling. Field cycling back around here. We are now 202 laps in. It'll be a green-white checkered finish when we get back under the green flag in an attempt at overtime for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Works just like the National Series. First flag will end the race after the leader takes the white flag. Field comes across the line this time by Whelen Engineering. Lights will go out atop the pace vehicle. Justin Bonsignor will line up on the inside lane for the start. Steven Kopsick looking for that very first Whelen Modified Tour victory to his right elbow. And championship point leader Austin Beers on the inside of row number 2. Remember, 8th or better, there are only 8 cars on the lead lap. If he finishes on the lead lap, he will be the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion. We're ready to settle it here at Martinsville as the field rolls down the back straightaway, headed for turn 3.
Austin Beers in that sweet spot, inside row. That's where you want to be with 2 laps to go. Chasing the driver, that's chasing him in the championship standings. The driver looking for his first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour win on the outside, and Steven Kopsick has a hard time coming up through the gears, and we're underway.
Eric Goodale out of shape on the start. He gets shuffled out. Comes Beers to the inside. He'll take over second. Justin Bonsignor away with the race lead in turn 3.
And it is picturesque with Justin Bonsignor leading this race and your defending champion. Excuse me.
Into turn number 1, Justin Bonsignor clear ahead with the race lead. The battle for second, Austin Beers and Steven Kopsick. They make their way into turn number 3 the final time. Justin Bonsignor is going to come up off turn number 4. He will win the race in another grandfather clock, but behind them, finishing in second, Austin Beers becomes the youngest champion in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour as he has won the 2025 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship. Your 2 championship contenders here along the back straightaway. Beers is there, and Justin Bonsignor to offer congratulations to now the 20th champion in the history of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And the 40 years of the existence, he becomes the youngest champion at 22 years old, 7 months and 0 days, setting the record set by Ryan Preece back in 2013. Ironically enough, with the same crew chief, Sly Zabin, as he now becomes a 5-time Whelen Modified Tour champion. And the first for that man, Mike Murphy, the champion in 20 seasons. KLM Motorsports and the Pride of the Irish have won the Whelen Modified Tour Championship.
And to see the 2 crews of 51 and 64 just congratulating each other and the camaraderie that has been brewing for years. But one team celebrates tonight and the other is congratulating, and there are the hugs as they soak in the moment.
Ryan Stone giving a hug to Eric Beers, Austin's dad, Ken Massa, the 2 car owners, offering congratulations to each other. A battle fought long and hard over 16 different races here this season across 7 states and over 2,700 and a few more tonight laps of racing. Austin Beers will pause in turn 3, victorious here tonight in the championship crown. He came home second. It'll be his best finish at Martinsville, but more importantly, he becomes a champion of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
And even though he's one of the coolest and calm drivers in the pit area week in and week out, the emotions he must be feeling as he holds that championship flag and starts the slow victory lap celebrating Whelan's 40th anniversary, or the Tour's 40th anniversary, Whelan's 25th as title sponsor.
A magical moment for Austin Beers, the entire family. We mentioned his dad, a legendary modified racer in the Whelen Modified Tour, race winner but never did this. The Donuts as a champion on the front straightaway, the celebration for Austin Beers and this young man in the future at just 22 years old, and the poise that he has shown on this stage at this level to become a champion of NASCAR's oldest division in the NASCAR Modifieds.
That's a highlight shot that we're going to be seeing for years. Just that smoke show on the front stretch, and so well deserved.
Historic place to park in all of NASCAR, the front stretch victory lane here at Martinsville Speedway. This place has been around since the very beginning in the 1940s when it was built, been part of the fabric of NASCAR racing for many, many years, as has modified racing. Today, Austin Beers has done it. He has won in the 64 car, becomes a champion of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. His 5th overall champion as a driver since the age of 13, and adding this one on this stage might be one of the biggest. In fact, is the biggest that he has had in his storied career. You'll see the smile of relief from Austin Beers as he gets the safety equipment off inside that 64 here along the front stretch.
And there's Justin Bonsignore offering hugs to his crew, and a long, hard season, a successful season, too. You can't knock a guy who's picking up a grandfather clock and second in the championship standings again here tonight, saluting a great season.
Let's go down and hear from our race winner or race champion with Jesse Punch.
Austin Beers is your 2025 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion. The 22-year-old becomes the youngest Whelen Modified Tour champion in history, and this 64 team is celebrating down here on this start-finish line. We've got water bottles flinging around, plenty of hugs to give. This team has worked so hard all season. I'm excited to see them celebrate together, and I'm excited to hear from Austin too. A huge, huge accomplishment for Austin Beers. Gotta give a hug to Dad. Austin, congratulations. You are the champion. How do you describe your emotions right now?
I have no idea, honestly. Just, I can't thank everybody on this team. You know, Whelen, everybody at NASCAR that puts this series on. I love running this series, and I didn't want to think about what I would say because I thought I would jinx it, so I don't really know what to say right now. This is unbelievable that we got this win. I mean, this championship, you know, obviously Justin was so good tonight, and I was struggling there a little bit, but congrats to him on the win and the clock. You know, he's a great friend of mine, and, you know, we race really hard together, and we have a good time together, so, you know, I have a lot of respect for that team, so they put a lot of pressure on me coming in this last race, and wow, this is unbelievable to, you know, be the youngest now, to pass Priest to as the youngest. It's kind of a full circle moment for me with knowing him, you know, growing up, and him kind of being, you know, my idol pretty much, just watching his career blossom. So this means so much to me.
Well, take a breath. I know you said you're still trying to take it all in, and you've been telling us all the past, you know, remainder of this season that you've kind of been taking it week by week. Well, now that it's here, now that you can exhale, how do you plan to celebrate this? How do you plan to really, you know, take this moment in?
I have no idea. Like I said, I didn't want to think about it because I just think I will jinx it. So I know I'm going to have a lot of fun with my crew tonight. We're going to probably get some cookout later or something, you know, and just try to savor this moment. You know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to run these cars and have this championship. So we're going to really enjoy it.
Well, the championship is yours, but I do have to ask, coming down to that final restart there in overtime, what was going through your mind? Was there any concern that this might not be yours to win?
Maybe just about fuel a little bit. I was trying to save as much as I could, you know, shutting off under yellow, but honestly, with the driving part of it, there was no concern. I knew we could get it done if I just hit my marks, and I got to thank the 21 racing me clean there. I was trying to give them the bottom in case something happened, but it just means a lot to win this championship. I can't thank Mike and Maggie Murphy for giving me this opportunity, and everybody involved, LaJoya Seating, Dell Electric, Fast Track Electric Corp, you know, Whelen, like I said, you know, they put a lot of money into this series, and it means a lot that they have their support.
Well, Austin, congratulations on an incredible season, a phenomenal accomplishment as the 2025 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion. Congratulations, Austin.
Thank you very much.
That's Austin Beers. You see the emotion welling up in his eyes as he hears that official title that is now given to him.
Thank you, Jesse. Getting congratulations from Joey Denowitz of NASCAR, as he will be awarded that championship trophy before long. You referenced Ryan Preece being a good friend. They used to play video games together, racing cars, of course, and different things. And Ryan Preece had said before the race that if there's anybody that would break my record, which is made to be broken, by the way, that I would want it to be Austin Beers. And I know Ryan Preece on property tonight, watching Austin Beers capture this crown here in 2025, will certainly wish him well in breaking that record. And I'm sure the first of many championships for the 64 team and the driver, Austin Beers.
And we've talked a lot about drivers who are in different chapters of their careers now and you know, fostering the young talent. And once they were the young drivers just a few years ago, it's crazy how time works. And now Ryan Preece kind of in that mentor role and getting to relish watching one of the drivers who idolized him growing up succeeding on such a high stage.
The entire 64 team assembling on that championship stage where they will be awarded the 2025 Whelen Modified Tour Championship Trophy. Mike Murphy has made his way onto the stage now with his family. And what a story he has gone through. Had a lung transplant. He told us earlier today it's got a 10-year warranty. So I hope that I'm going all right. Yeah. No longer on the oxygen. Has been battling a lot of health challenges over the past couple of years, but now is standing in victory lane, walking through to each one of his crew members, thanking them for this family operation, that tight-knit group that has been much together since 2006, a few new here and there, but for the most part, that same core group over 20 years to celebrate this point in time and the ultimate of championships in the Whelen Modified Tour. Let's go back down to Jesse Punch.
He don't want it. I'm just saying, you're good.
Justin Bonsignor comes up one spot short in this championship battle, but goes home a winner tonight here at Martinsville. You got a smile on your face. What's going through your mind?
I mean, yeah, obviously we wanted to win a championship, but, you know, you got to put a whole year together, and we didn't do as good a job as we needed to this year, and Austin outran us. So, first of all, congrats to his guys. I'm really good friends with Austin since he joined the series. I've raced against his dad, Eric. Sly, his crew chief's been around a long time. The 64, you know, Murph wasn't doing well last year, and now as a champion. So it's just congrats to them, their whole deal. Good run for us. You know, obviously had a great car, got stuck in traffic there a little bit, and just, you know, it was hard to get back to the lead, and it cycled back our way, and our car was really good on a long run there, and, you know, I was a little nervous. They were 10 to go. Matt kind of parked in front of me, and I just couldn't do nothing with him, and I saw Patrick getting closer and closer, and I had to just get Matt out of my way. Otherwise, I was probably going to get moved out of the way myself. And then Pat runs out of fuel and unfortunately stops on the track. So, yeah, I mean, it's still Martinsville, still a grandfather clock. I've lost way more of these championships than I've ever won, so not going to stress it. Way more important things in life than stressing about your hobby. This is supposed to be fun, and this is what it is. But most importantly, I want to thank Phoenix Communications, Mark Langevin, his wife Marie, their daughter Megan, for everything they've done for our race team since 2016. Robin and Laura from Com IT Solutions, Fury Race Cars, Robbie Yates Engines, M3 Technology, Ken and Janine Massa. I don't know if many people know, Ken just tied the record with the Sheba 8 car for the most all-time car owner wins. So to us do that, 47 wins all together, is pretty amazing. Wasn't sure if it was going to happen this year. It wasn't looking good, but just want to thank Ryan Stone, all the pit crew guys for all their hard work. They're traveling up and down the country here with us all year as volunteers. So just a great team effort by all of us. Come up a little short, but want to thank NASCAR, Flo, MRN, everybody for puts these deals on, all the fans, Whelen Engineering. It's bittersweet, but it's still a grandfather clock, and that's all that matters.
Well, thanks, Justin. Congrats on a great season.
Thank you.
You heard Justin Bonsignor, your winner here tonight, and a historic win for this 51 team and team owner Ken Massa.
Austin Beers been presented that championship trophy, hoisting it high above here, the front stretch at Martinsville, victorious in 2025. What a moment. We'll straighten that trophy out for many pictures to come. What a night it has been for KLM, this entire group, what they've been able to accomplish. That championship in the first 4 years. It seems like Austin Beers just arrived on the scene, and he has taken the Whelen Modified Tour by storm. You look at all the different drivers that have driven this race car. We talked about Ron Uhas. We've had drivers like Anthony Nocella, who went on to win races in the Whelen Modified Tour. Robbie Summers, great super modified racer, and the Solomito brothers. But it was this driver, Austin Beers, who got that first win for Mike Murphy and this team, and now delivers their first championship.
in a pretty short amount of time, too. And think how quickly he came onto the scene, came on as a teenager and won the Rookie of the Year in 2022, and then quickly, became a championship contender year in and year out. They were a little bit off last year, and one thing that they needed to do is put the entire race together and put an entire season together, and they were off a little bit on pit stops. They cleaned up the small things that they needed to do in 2025, and this is the result. His first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship, and there are so many great moments unfolding in front of our eyes right now. Multiple teams, rival teams coming up. Giving the kid a congratulations. The kid becomes a big man on campus here tonight, receiving some hugs all around. It's nothing but love on the stage for Austin Beers.
Smiles all around. You work hard, and I think Justin Bonsignore said it best. This is our hobby. For many of these individuals, they go back to work tomorrow, travel home, and Monday it continues on, and you get ready for New Smyrna in February. There you see the crew. Ron Uhas on the left, Sly Zabin in the middle, and alongside Austin Beers, and the car owner off to the side there as well. On the right-hand side is Mike Murphy, Maggie as well. You look at just this happy group. They have worked as a cohesive team, and that ended with a champion. There he is, the youngest Whelen Modified Tour champion in series history. Your 2025 champion, Austin Beers. Well, as we put a bow on the 2025 season, it's never too early to start looking ahead at next year as the offseason begins tomorrow. All these teams will get ready for February 7th when things will kick off at the New Smyrna Speedway as part of the World Series at that storied facility down in Florida and carry right on through Speed Weeks leading up to the Daytona 500. Back here in Martinsville before you know it on the NASCAR weekend at the end of March. Stops at the traditional icebreaker at Thompson, your home in the state of Maine.
What's up,
and
Maine?
Oxford Plains at the beginning of May.
We're all going to be maniacs on May the 2nd, then to Seekonk for one of two shows in a 6-week period. A lot of bull rings. Riverhead, White Mountain, Seekonk again. Then there's Claremont, Monadnock Speedway, Thompson, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, also Stafford. Going back to Stafford in August. Can you imagine what that Friday night is going to be like? August 28th. Then Oswego, Riverhead, Thompson wraps it up, and a great wrap-up for the Whelen Modified Tour at one of their home bases in Thompson, Connecticut on October 11th.
Yeah, going to be a wild series. Everybody, I think, excited about the announcement to see Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut back on the schedule. That has been a core, like Thompson, in that state of modified racing as time has gone on. Andy, we talked a little bit about this tonight and certainly a lot about it all season long. 40 years of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. We honored the 40 greatest drivers in the series, had great competition all season long, 9 different winners this year. Austin Beers becomes the 20th series champion. Justin Bonsignore going to offer some congratulations with some more liquid refreshment in victory lane. The two championship contenders celebrating there. Boy, it has been an outstanding season. And there's a lot of people that make it all work behind the scenes. Tim DeRoyne, our director throughout the season, and his entire team, Ron DeSung, Rick Worth, and that entire group that make that happen. Matt Strickert, who leads this operation as far as NASCAR production goes. Our producer, Christina Herrera, who has been just outstanding all season long at producing these shows and bringing these broadcasts to you on Flow Sport. Our good friend and colleague, Ben Dodge, who was not able to make the trip down to Martinsville here this year. But, Ben, you've been a big part of the fabric of modified racing again this season, and we're looking forward to next year. And, Andy, you joining us here throughout the season in the NASCAR Modified Tour. It's been a great year in 2025.
I've had a blast. It's been wonderful to work with A-list players that you mentioned. I couldn't have said it better, with all of the people who are in Charlotte and are in the truck and have done a great job just putting this program together. You hear us or you hear Ben every single week, but it's this team that makes the broadcast happen, and welcoming a relative newcomer into the fold as well as yours truly here speaking. It's been great to to really get entrenched with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and just I love what I see on the stage right now. And so often in today's society, we see people divided. We see race car drivers, tearing each other apart. These guys are all congratulating Austin Beers.
That'll do it for the 2025 season. An eventful night here in Martinsville. It saw a bit of drama. In the end, Justin Bonsignore was just too strong for everybody. But it was Austin Beers who came out as the champion. We thank you for joining us all season long on Flow Racing. We look forward to having you back with us again in 2026 when the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour takes on another season of excitement and open wheel modified competition. On behalf of everybody at NASCAR Productions, I'm Joe Koss. Thanks for joining us at Martinsville for 2025.